Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Please, we don't mind. Let's stand up, let's pray. God is good.
All the time.
You travel all the way from Chicago, New York, Houston. I will not plane crash. I will not accident. God is worthy. God is great. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Clap for Jesus Christ. So when you close your eyes, let's pray. Mighty and everlasting Father, I humble myself before you. I decree that you increase in my life. I pray, God, for your strength, your grace. I pray for your peace to reign among us today. Father, I call upon you, God, come and open this floor. I command every power of darkness, every disagreement, every thought that tried to delay this meeting today, we cross it out in the name of Jesus. I pray for unity. I pray for love, understanding. Father, be the chairman of this occasion. Father, be the God that will guide us through. The one I love, I fear most. Come, I know you hear the voice of your servant. I pray for those coming on their way, Lord. I cover with the blood of Jesus. Father, no accident will come to our people today in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Our children is in your holy hand.
Yes, Lord.
Guide and protect them. Guide them through, oh God. Even this occasion, this weekend, we will not cry from any child. That will not accident among our children. That will not fight among them. Rather, we see that gracious blood that comes above. May your name be glorified this meeting today. At the end, Lord, we give you all that glory. We give you all that adoration because you are worthy of our praises. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jehovah. Thank you, our leaders. Give them wisdom that whatever they are discussing today will be for your own good. At the end, your children will dance in your presence. They will give you all that glory and adoration. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
All right. I want to welcome everyone back to day 3 of our session, our business session. Hopefully more people can join us quickly and we can start. Mr. Chair has called the business to order, and so if you look at your agenda, we are at the section for issues unfinished business from yesterday. Unfinished business from yesterday. So Mr. Chair has a list of things that are items that remain unfinished from yesterday, and if there are any items that we want to discuss that is not on the agenda, please call my attention so that we can put them on the agenda for discussion today. We hope that we'll be quick, we'll be on point so that we can get through the items of the day. Mr. Chair, if you would.
Thank you so much. We have made it through the first and second day. We promised yesterday that we were going to look into the minutes because we know that a lot of people didn't get a chance to read the minutes yesterday. We didn't have matters arising from the minutes yesterday, and I asked you all after the meeting yesterday that we take time, read the minutes and see if there's something in the minutes that we need to resolve this very convention before we leave. So today will be a good day to address any of those issues. Couple of things that I want to bring up. One will be the ratification of the recess appointment that we made after last year's election. That first position is the Administrator for Finance and Economic Development. And we appointed our dear brother, Mr. Chika Wosu, to head that division. So, because I would ask for the General Assembly to ratify his appointment. The second appointment that we made was that of the Administrator for Civic, Cultural, and Domestic Affairs. And that person, Mrs. Piso Bule, is Piso Bule here. But those were the two appointments that we made after the last convention. We deemed it necessary to have these positions filled because we think that they have work to do that will help to support our community. Chika also very much involved in fundraising. He has already set up his fundraising committee, and that's what he's going to be doing in addition to writing grants, grant proposals for all the programs and projects that we can pursue. Peace will be conducting the population count that we talked about yesterday, and she's going to be sharing with more information so that you take that with you when you go home. So because, having said that, I'd like this General Assembly to ratify these two appointments. I think it will require a motion to ratify it. I will call for someone to move a motion to ratify these two positions and someone to second that motion. Mike,
Grab Mikal. Yeah. And Mikal. Yeah. Secretary, I'm not surprised. Mr. President, because in those appointments, the new position in grade is not in our constitution. One. Two, can you explain what that position is supposed to accomplish for us? Because also, not that you don't have that provision, you can create, but what is that office supposed to do for us? The office of
the office of the Administrator for Finance and Economic Development.
No, the other one.
The second one is Administrator for Civic, Cultural, and Domestic Affairs.
That's the one.
Yes. So, I think both positions are, to my understanding, they are in the Constitution, so that they've never been filled. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think these are not new positions. We have them listed in the Constitution, it's just that they have never been filled. And we can go back to the Constitution just to confirm that. But basically, the Administrator for Civic and Cultural Affairs will really help us to coordinate our cultural affairs. Yesterday, we talked about things like the Egilege and our traditional dances and things that we can do when we come to the convention. We also talked about the population count, which I felt would fit very well, align very well under that position to help us conduct a population count. They will be doing a lot of community outreach for us, both here and back home in Nigeria. We have discussed in the EC about opening our Office of Community, OISA Office of Community Engagement back home. That idea comes from the fact that we need to engage more with our leaders back home. We need to engage more with what is going on back home. We think that that is what this office will be doing for us. If you look at the Constitution, it actually says administrator of political, but we didn't want to use the word political because this is a non-profit organization, so that's why we changed it to, that's the only change we made, was to change it from political to civic. We said administrator for civic, cultural, and domestic affairs. So my brother Max, yes, the position is in the Constitution, it has never been filled before. And Peace will be doing, doing an awesome job in this area to serve our community. But any other person, any objections or any questions, any concerns, make up.
Good morning, everybody. I think you mentioned that I'll just queued on what you said. You said it was originally position created for political. You used the word political and you changed it to civic. Okay. Don't you think it's necessary for you to change that from political because it's a constitutional thing? And don't you think we need to have a motion to change it, or you have to bring it to us to change it, to register it, to make sure that it was accepted by the whole assembly?
My brother, yes, absolutely correct. Like I said, the position says administrator for political, political, cultural, and domestic affairs. So let me add that to the motion, that we also consider changing it from political, it's just for the semantics, right? Because this is a non-profit organization. We don't want to see this word politics. So civic is more acceptable and more acceptable in terms of what we're trying to accomplish here. But it's open for discussion. But I would definitely agree with Ryan that we can also add it to that motion to change that word from political to civic in the interest of our organization.
Okay, Emeka and Eric Wade, rather than add it to the motion or a separate motion, if I agree, then Mark says motion concern can be addressed.
So is that a motion?
No,
If you have a motion, if you just
it's
move
not a motion. I'm just saying that it should be two different motions. It cannot be
together.
Yeah, it cannot be together. So
Okay.
addressing that. Okay, let me.
There's no motion on ground, so if somebody's
So basically, my president making the suggestion that we do a separate motion. Mr. President, can you move a motion for that? I think you're right. We should have a separate motion. One, to change the word from political to civic. That's one motion, right? And the second motion will be to ratify the appointment of Peace Ogunleye for that position. So that's two separate motions.
But Mr. President, I'm the quarter hand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you are changing, you're just changing the heading. Highlight down the functions that are listed under that office. You cannot just change the header. I'm specifying what is that office supposed to do for us. After time they change the entire team, so that whoever we appoint knows what he or she is supposed to be doing for us. So each of the lectures they head can I will continue to do what we're doing. We're still addressing it as a political office. I will do something related to politics or something. So let's look entirely at it and man what to change or what to replace. And make a
Mr. President, I just want to second what Mike said. Marshall Obros just said. This is just my recommendation to you. The recess appointment for Chika, let's move on to approve that today and also ask the General Assembly to extend the second appointment on Mr. Ogunleye. Then, because you are not trying to modify the Constitution and allow the members send something in email, because the Constitution is permanent, that you can modify certain things and give members notice that you intend to modify that section in the Constitution to give people some feedback before the next convention. The EC can act on this position now if the General Assembly allow you to continue, or Mr. Ogunleye to continue, pending the modification of that position. Because it's not only the title you are changing the function. America.
Very well. No, I think that is more acceptable. I will ask the General Assembly that we heed to the suggestion made by Mr. Solomon Electrica. But I will also appeal to this body to allow this individual to continue to function on the assignment that we've given to her, because it is critical and very much aligned with what we're trying to accomplish for our community. So Biko, without changing any of that position, the title today, we will do just exactly what you said, send something out to general membership, letting them know that we seek to change the heading or the naming of this position and some of the functions. And hopefully we can ratify that by the next convention.
I move a motion from the floor to ratify Chika's position and allow the president to appoint to Gule until pending adjustment of the constitution.
So we have a motion on the floor. Can I have someone to second that motion?
I'll go ahead and second it.
That motion has been seconded by Brother Max. All right. Let me see, can you conduct a quick vote? Or we can say by a show of hand. By a show of hand. Can we raise your hand if you're in support of the motion that is on the floor? By a show of hand. By a show of hand.
Okay, let's wait back.
Raise your hand if you're in support.
Yes, if you are in support of the motion, please raise your hand.
Oh, okay.
If you are in support of the motion.
Okay, I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 in favor.
So we have 27 votes in favor. Is there anyone who is against the motion that is on the floor? Please do so by raising your hand.
Are you, sir?
Are you in support?
Yeah, I'm in support of, yeah.
Well,
His hand was still up.
yes, so you can't vote twice, we have counted you.
Oh, okay.
Are you against?
No, I'm in support of it.
Okay, okay. So your hand is not against, right?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. So there's no hand up.
Unanimous.
It is a unanimous consensus. So thank you so much for ratifying these two positions, and we will make sure to follow up on the recommendations with respect to the second position. Amika, the other position that I'd like to bring to the attention of this body is that we elected a assistant secretary, a general, at the last convention, but that position has not functioned since the election. We have, tried as much as possible to reach out to the individual that was elected as assistant secretary, and she has not participated in any of the EC meetings for the entire year. It's understandable. She's one of our younger ones. We wanted to bring the younger ones in so that they can begin to learn what we are doing, because at the end of the day, they will inherit, whatever we're doing here today. So it becomes more important that we start, incorporating and bringing them into what we're doing. But we will continue to encourage her. But I would also appeal to this body that we were looking for someone to fill that position of assistant secretary. The job of the secretary general is very critical, and when Mr. Daniel is not available, it falls on me to write the minutes, and it's really difficult to conduct a meeting and write the minutes at the same time. So we really need help in this area, and I hope that someone would volunteer, even if it is just on a temporary basis, until we can formally appoint that individual. The other thing that I'd like to suggest here today, and I know it's not the way that we've done it in the past, as we are looking forward to next year already, We want to make sure that we are canvassing for our next host next year. I would say that if any of the states are interested in hosting us next year, please submit your name. Usually we'll do this during the gala night, but I want us to get a head start so that people start thinking about it, so that if you are interested, send us a little name, submit your name so that we wouldn't waste much time at the gala night so we can have much fun.
OgbakorIkwerre, I have a question. So on the issue of the Assistant Secretary General, are you calling for volunteers, and what is the way to go about that? Are you going to, because this house,
Right.
we put this and we don't have any response. So what is the way forward to get someone to fill that position?
Right. I think basically what we're trying to do here is to give time for people to think about this and letting the General Assembly know that we don't have someone in that position right now, and we desperately need someone. So if anyone is interested, to let us know. I'm sure this will not be the last time we talk about this before the end of the day. But we're looking for volunteers for that. Go ahead.
Well, Mikhail, yeah, Mr. President, you made a statement. I don't know who the Assistant Secretary is, but I like the point you made, that you're trying to encourage the younger generation, because those of us who are senior citizens cannot do most of the things. So I think we should continue in that route. I will suggest that you continue to reach out to who the young Assistant Secretary is, and see if he or she will find time to participate instead of appointing another one.
No,
I like the point.
we've done that for the whole year.
You want to encourage younger ones.
Right. We've done that for a whole year, okay, and we haven't had any success. But we don't want to basically say that we're dropping the individual, because it wouldn't send a good message, right? Like you said, we'll continue to reach out, but in the interim, I think it is critical that we also have someone as a backup. We really need someone. Yeah.
Michael, well, this was an elected position. We cannot just get a substitute or a backup to do that without her officially saying, or he, whoever it is, he or she saying officially that I am giving up that position. It's an elected position. We elected that person last year. So until her resignation, we are not going to be looking to fill that position. Now, for you to function, for your executive to function, for the organization to function, the secretary has to take that brunt of the duty. Now, for some reason he's not around, you can, with the executive power, get somebody to temporarily fill in for him until we are able to get clearance from this young person. Like Dr. Nyeruka said, it is partner that we have and engage our young ones. So that will give you time to now look at and see whether you can find some other young kids or our children to fill in that position and make a.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, over there.
Sorry, I missed the hand. Whose hand is up? Okay.
I'm Mecca Chika. I think the last speaker said we have to wait until whoever it was that was elected into that position resigns. I never heard of that, because we have a constitution. When you're not performing, you can be fired too. Yeah, so I think we should go by the constitution. If we have anybody that is volunteering, we pick it up, because it's very essential that you have you have a secretary and an assistant secretary. These things we do here have to be recorded. We don't wait for somebody. Omega.
So
that was the same comment. So if you proceed.
So because, and you're right, the only reason we haven't really taken that action to say, hey, writing this individual an official letter to say, you have not attended the meeting for, I think, three consecutive times, that we can no longer have you in the team. The reason we haven't done that is because we're still extending our hope that as a young person that we're really trying to encourage to come on board, that we should continue to try, rather than sending a negative message, oh, you're fired. We don't want to do that, but yes, we can do that, right? I'm still hoping that maybe this individual will come on board. But what I'm asking this body to do today in the interim is to say that if anyone is willing to volunteer, we can have 2 assistant secretaries. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If anyone is willing to volunteer to help in the meantime, that is something that the executive body will need. Because let's not dwell too much on this. We'll continue to reach out to people to see who we can bring on board. And if you know of anyone that can, fill in this gap, because let us know. If by next convention, which will be another election year, and she doesn't show up, then this body can then conduct a new election for that position.
And I think this issue now is an institutional issue, because I don't think that secretary probably knows. She knows what to do. She's smart, but knows the procedure. If we had this idea where we have the president, the new president, look at the chairs empty, secretary, new secretary, whatever, all sitting there, trying to learn from us in the past few years or whatever. They understand what to do. Right now, you're there as president. We don't have a new president there. We don't have a new secretary. I'm not saying we should do it now, but it's wise for us to let all these in who are doing meetings, whatever, to understand the procedure of what to do. So this secretary may know what to do, but you don't understand the mechanics and issue. So I think next time we should probably, when elections, have a youth president, youth secretary, youth whatever. So when you sit down there, they all sit there and then they understand and learn from us. Right now, we can't force them to know what to do. They're out there going around. And I'm in here, and no one is here trying to understand us or whatever. So I think we should think about that. Youth president, elder president, whatever. So when we come to the meeting, we all sit across and understand how we argue and how we make points. And make it.
Okay.
You want this on this issue? Okay.
Adumeka.
Yeah.
Jerry, I'm Ramon Bokli for Chuku. I think this issue here is very, very important, considering that I meet it once a year. Oh, it's very important because that's position Bola, the position that we can just, give any suggestion. So all I need is at least the secretaries are there. We don't know what may happen tomorrow. We need to get at least 2 backups, 2 assistant secretaries, so that up to one will be allowed. Then we can use the other, because minutes is very important in any meeting. Now we're talking about concerning the young ones. Yes, we can get one of the young ones, or even 2 of them, if they're willing to sit down here and learn. But we do need at least 2 secretaries, or assistant secretaries, plus the main secretary, just to be on the safe side. Thank you.
Can we? Yeah, I think, Mr. Chair, can you move this forward?
Yeah.
And I call.
We can take one more comment.
Sorry, thank you, Secretary. My name is Patience. So, Brother Clifford, I want to comment that the suggestion that we have 2 secretaries and 2 assistant secretaries, when we make recommendations or suggestions of this nature, it should be constitutionally based. in our constitution and we provision for 2 secretaries, and we provision for 2 assistant secretaries.
I didn't mean 2 secretaries, 1 secretary and 2.
Even that, and with that provision. So it's always 1 secretary and 1 assistant. So the only thing you have, I amend the constitution to make if we can't go against what we currently have. How many suggest, many of that these are young people, give them time, in as much as we want to encourage our young ones, which I am an advocate for, a year, 1 year is long enough for an adult, a young person. And again, let's look at it this way. We are trying to encourage our children, but these are college graduates. These are people who are working. They have responsibilities in their office, they make money, they are responsible in their office. So if she ran for this office or he, and we elected, if the person, the EC has made effort to reach this person and the person is ignoring or not responding, I would have suggested that EC would have written a letter, a formal letter to say, hey, we've contacted you this many times, you're not responding, we are giving you so and so time to let us know if you are still interested or not. That way we clean that opening, make it clear that it's vacant, but you cannot want to fill a position that is filled. You have to clear it and then you begin to look for somebody else. So you still need to write a letter to this young lady or young man. We are giving you 2-3 months to respond. Before now, if you're not responding, we will officially take your name out. So now that he's coming to EC looking for a replacement, then we know that the position is vacant. So that we cannot continue to keep it open because we want to encourage young ones to come when we were already doing that. So keep my comment.
Is there a hand there? Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you want to. All right, let me move to you because.
I think on this assistant financial secretary issue. Assistant secretary issue. I believe that every single of us that was elected, or every single executive member that was elected, knew the responsibilities of why they were when they ran and used to get elected. And when you stay a whole year without calling into EC meeting, even when notices are sent, I believe that the EC or the president have the right to declare that position vacant and appoint somebody else. And I don't think there's any requirement for him or for the EC to send a letter to this person saying, we are giving you 3 months or 6 months to make a decision. A, B. Nobody forced you to run for a position. You choose to run for a position. And after you were elected, you assumed not to do anything. I believe if it was a paid position, I don't think you get a job and decide that you will not go to the job. And you expect the employer to keep you or be calling you, come to work, come to work. If they think you're not doing what you're supposed to do, they will let you go and find a replacement. I believe the EC had endured for 1 year. The secretary had complained, even when he's sick and not available, we have to look for an alternate to represent him or for him to do his duties. I think any suggestion to say prolong this another 3 months or 6 months is unfair. Reason being that, this is the only opportunity that the president and the EC have for the General Assembly to ratify the vacant position. Because if it's not done, then that position will remain as is and can never be ratified again.
Order, please. Order, please. Order. Order, please.
And can never be ratified in next year convention. So for me, the suggestion would be, I will appeal to all of us here that we work with the president, declare that position vacant, and replace somebody else. At least that will lessen the burden on the secretary for the next 1 year.
Just to add to that, I believe that we have a constitution, and it is important for us to follow that constitution and what it says with regards to filling a vacant position. I would ask if it's possible to have copies of the constitution so we can reference that as we speak. And then that guides our discussion so that it's not suggestion, we're speaking according to what the constitution says. So based on that, I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that we use what the Constitution says and you use your power to fill that position, given that that position has been left vacant. So I would leave that to you to make that decision so that we can move on to another item.
I think I like what DK Chendo recommended here, and that's exactly what I really wanted this body to do. And that's why I started by saying that we really need someone to help in that position. It is not easy to fill secretary's position, and I can tell you, not a lot of people are interested in Secretary General because they think it's too much work. But we really need someone, and I don't want us to stay too long on this topic, but I really want us to get a resolution before the end of today. So Dr. Hegram said we should look at the Constitution to see what is legally allowed for us to do. We'll go back and look at that, but later today in the afternoon, we're going to revisit this matter, and at that point, if we are in line with the Constitution, we will ask the General Assembly to declare that position vacant and conduct a quick election for that position, assuming or just an appointment, right? Allow me to make an appointment. But even making an appointment, you have to have someone that is interested. Yeah, it falls upon me, but it also falls upon the community to identify, to help find someone that can serve. Because I've reached out and I can call as many people. If I don't get someone, maybe you might know someone that can help. So it should be a collective effort. I'm make out. So we'll move forward. I want to quickly, because the financial team will be giving a presentation. It's almost lunchtime. I will appeal to that team to please, we may have to hold off on your presentation until after lunch because 1 o'clock is almost here. But I want to quickly address a very big elephant that is in the room. And I know that a lot of people will be wondering. And I think in the interest of transparency, I want to make sure that this body knows why we did what we did. And that big elephant in the room is that if you guys look at our flyer, you've probably seen the name of Tonton Dike on the flyer. We basically invited Tonton Dike to come and support what we are doing. We know that Tonton Dike is in the entertainment industry and the daughter of Ikwerre Land. We were hoping that by her presence, that she would help to attract more people to come to our convention and to help to support what we are doing. And as part of my engagement effort, I had reached out to pretty much most of the Ikwerre sons and daughters that are in the entertainment industry in Nigeria, including Duncan. When I spoke with Duncan, I said to Duncan, I said, every year at the convention, we play your music, Port Harcourt First Son, and anytime we play your music, everyone gets up to dance because it's a beautiful song. And I said to him, do you imagine what that would mean if you will show presence at our convention and people can put face to the music, that it will really inspire our young ones. And he said, well, I would love to do that, but you guys will have to pay me $10,000. And I said, well, we do not have $10,000. This is something that will be for our community to promote Ikwerre culture. So we gave up on that. And let me also say that my predecessor had also reached out to him in the past. It was still the same story, and I thought I could do magic this time around to bring him. I reached out to Tonton Dike and I said, Tonton Dike, we would like for you to feature in our convention this year to promote a very big project that we're looking at, something that we think will be of benefit to the Ikwerre community in North America. And it has to do with culture, it has to do with having a cultural landmark in America. We want you to help us as part of the fundraising effort. To be the ambassador for that program, to be the voice and the champion for that program. And she said, yes, I would love to do this. And this is what she said to me. She said, when I was growing up, my parents didn't teach me how to speak Ikwerre language. I have children now, and I want them to be able to speak Ikwerre language. And so this is something that I would like to be part of, to be involved in. That is how, we basically picked on her. To help to do this. The rest of the folks were asking for money. She was the only one that said, I'm not asking for, I don't want, you guys shouldn't pay me for anything, don't pay for my flight. I will come to this convention and support this effort. That's the reason why we picked on her, put her on the flyer, just so we can ginger people, knowing that she's someone that people can look up to. But that's the reason why we have Tonton Dike. I have to say, was it the right thing to do? We probably erred. I probably erred. And I say that because when people say ambassador, they were thinking that I'm thinking that she's the ambassador for OISC. But I think that the wording of it may have been a little confusing. She's only the ambassador for that special project that we wanted her to be a champion, to be a voice of. That is what we did. And I want to basically let the General Assembly know that that's how we came by that decision. It was about using what we have in our community to see how we can rally support for something as important as promoting Ikwerre culture in North America. So I want to be as transparent as possible to let you know that is the reason why we made that decision. And yes, we may have erred, and if we did, I would ask this general body to forgive the General Assembly, the Executive Committee, for making that decision. So, because MC. Okay. But anyway, let me just finish this off. Tonton Dike did not come to the convention because she was not given a visa. Tonton Dike came to say the last time she visited the United States was 5 years ago, and she didn't know that her visa had expired. And when she went this time around for her visa, they denied her visa. And that's the reason why she's not here with us. All right, so I don't think the lunch is not ready yet, so, okay, great. So Biko, I will call on the financial team to present their report. Oh, somebody have a question?
I thought information had gone to the president on something we wanted to do in the interim, since financial report will take some time. And I was going to ask the floor if it is okay for us to talk on Mbaru for about 2 minutes. That's my question. Is it okay? No.
Okay, let's invite the financial team to do that. Ameka?
All right, Mika. I'm Mika. Okay. I make this financial statement brief, and
just focus on the main points that, we want you guys to know. On page 1 is, yeah. And because we do the presentation, and after lunch, we come for the question and answer. Is that okay? Okay, I'll make it. So on page 1 is what you will call a statement of financial position, which is basically telling you this is what you are worth. Basically telling you this is what you are worth. This is your own assets minus anything that you're owing. That is what the first statement is saying. This first page is saying. If you look at it between 2023 and 2022, 2022 we had $218,392.70, and coming 2023 we have 179. We had total liability and assets. We had $179,144.27. Now somebody's going to say, "Oh, this is a lot of money." It's not a lot of money. And why I'm telling you that it's not a lot of money, if you look at our current assets, which is almost 120,000, you'll see that that current assets is loaded with pledges that have not been collected. Would there be possibility that we're going to collect these pledges? I don't think so. So, because this is like carry over from year to year, year to year, year to year, the history of it, I don't know if the record is there for us to start chasing, and most especially, if you look at the ones from Nigeria, that is $59,000, and the one from the US, within us, pledges within us, we are looking at $57,000. Now, if you call up these people and say you're owing us pledges, they'll tell you they don't even recognize when the pledges were made. But if we have a record of it, if we have record of this, we can ask them and make a good reference to it and ask them. But again, a lot of us forgot. And you see uniform attires and accessories. This was carried over from Professor Bonda when we had uniforms carried over to Wallabums. Wallabums came and used some of the uniforms and dresses for publicity when they went to Nigeria, and that didn't get written off, right? It didn't get written off, so it kept carrying over and over. So technically what I'm trying to tell you is that 120,000 of that assets is fictitious, meaning, does it really exist? Is there any record to that effect? So the financial team, I made reference to them that we're going to write off most of this, but we haven't deliberated upon it yet. So it's something that is on the table that when the time comes, we're going to write it off, and we're going to write it off against. We're going to write it off. That is one thing I want you to know. And the second part of it is the fixed assets. The fixed assets is basically a laptop. We have this laptop, I think 3 or 4 previous administration bought a laptop, and we had that laptop. We've used up the laptop because we expensed it over time and we've used it up. But the laptop is still there, it's functional and it's effective. However, any successive administration decides to use their own laptop to do the work rather than use your OgbakorIkwerre laptop. So that makes it a little bit redundant. In a way, we don't use it and it's still there. I have it over there. So it's a decision whether we just have to dump it, clean it, dump it, or we just auction it up and sell it. Whatever we generate out of it, we put it into the purse, so we can take it off our book completely as non-existence. But the reason why it's still there is because we can still see the assets even though we don't use it. If this organization decides to liquidate today, we have to donate it to another non-profit organization if we don't sell it. So it's still there. So that's another decision we'll have to make as to whether to still have it or just auction it and get whatever we can get out of it and take it away. On the liability side of it, there are two items on the liability side of it, which is the current liability. We owe Baton Rouge $2,204 and some change. That is from last year's event. However, this amount could go up because we just received another check from, donation from Baton Rouge. So Baton Rouge share of that amount, is it 10%? 10% of that amount will have to go into this to increase the total liability that we owe Baton Rouge. That has to be paid this year. And the due to California is $67. This has been going on and on and on and on for over 10 years. California never claimed it. They didn't say, oh, give us our $67. They know about it, they're aware of it. But we can't just write it off and say, okay, they don't want to claim it, let's take it back. No, we left it there. However, after this convention, because California is probably going to get about $2,000 in the advertisement revenue, so that is going to beef up their own revenue. That's going to make them to say, oh, give us back our money. So we're going to clear this up this year. We're going to clear this up this year. The other liability, which is the long-term liability, is the EIDL loan. The loan originally was $54,576 and some change last year. So year to date, since inception of the loan to date, we've paid $13,648.66, bringing that loan back currently at $40,928.02. Now, this $13,000 that we have right now, it has some stories to it. Last year we paid $10,000 to reduce the liability on the loan. That $10,000, it was a decision that was, questioned in a way. Even if the payment was to our own advantage, financially it wasn't to our own advantage, and that is an issue that the executive thought about seriously. Why would somebody make an independent decision without the executive's consent? I don't know if that issue is going to come up for deliberation, or is something that has to be dealt with afterwards, but it's better to bring it to your attention, why the loan reduced from $54,000 to $40,000, and why we have so much of that payment. It's just informational. So, so to the bottom line, this year, 2023, our net, net assets, stood at $179,000. Now, if you consider the $120,000 proposed write-off, that's technically bringing your net assets to what you can substantiate on record. Okay. Now the second part of it, which is page 2. Page 2, the letters are so tiny. The letters are so tiny. It's so tiny, but the bottom line here is giving you a comparative between 2022 activities, which you would term as profit and loss statement, and 2023 activities. If you look below that, where you have change in net assets from operations, 2022 is $664, which in any case is a positive to ours, which is a profit, if you call that. And then come to 2023, we have $27,804 negative, which is a loss. Now, if you go to page 3, which is statement of functional activities, meaning specifically broken down to what you spent your monies on. The first side of it is basically administrative and management side of it. These pages are just the blown pages of what we have here. One thing I didn't include here is the revenue generated, which is on page 2. The first the first portion of page 2, which is operating activities and income, those ones are very tiny too, but I'll make reference to those. You will see the incomes that we generated, between 2 years comparatively. Our income last year was $122,244. Don't say hallelujah. I will explain how that came to be. And then on 2022, we had $50,000. And then the difference is $72,000 again. Don't say hallelujah, we made a lot of money. We have to explain how that happened later. So if you go back to page 3, management and general administrative expenses is part of the functional expenses. You just see what we spent out there. I want you to look at the foreign exchange. The foreign exchange, that one again is fluctuating depending on the dollar rate to Naira. And you guys know that, last year, Naira fluctuated so bad that, we are all saying let dollar be 2,000 Naira so that we can do so much at home. That fluctuation is foreign currency exchange risk. Sometimes it goes up, it goes down, you get advantage, but when we use a different, we use the CBN rate. We use the CBN rate to calculate this. And somehow, it shows that our Naira in those accounts, are declined significantly, so we just have to know that. Then the medical mission, which is the major thing that we have to talk about. You look at the medical mission, the medical mission there, we don't have the value, we don't have, in financial terms, we don't have a quantifiable value of what the local government brought to us. We don't have that information included here. However, we asked members who went for that mission to submit their flight ticket, which is something that we can give you for your tax write-off as a 501c3 organization. If you look at that, drugs and medication was donated. And we are required, if we have to accept those donations, we can also accept them as an income. It's like somebody giving you $43,000 to go and buy medication. You will accept it as an income, and at the same time, when you buy the medication, you have to expense those medications as well. So rather than giving us the $43,000, Eze Chima Timothy donated $43,000 worth of medication for the medical mission. He's not here today. And then where you have the flight transportation, where you have the travel flights, cab and incidental of $17,955, these expenses is what our members spent on their flight to Nigeria. Now, it's also equivalent to saying, let me donate to OgbakorIkwerre, but you will turn around and give me the money so that I will pay for my flight to Nigeria for the medical mission. This figure came from people who asked for tax write-off for their expenses. We gave them tax write-off. So that's where we got this $17,000. So collectively, your medical, for the known numbers, for the known facts we have, your medical mission cost us $89,000, $89,934. Now, from OgbakorIkwerre Resources, we give $32,000, right? OgbakorIkwerre gave $32,000 for that. But they were the expenses, they were so, they were vigilant in their expenses. They were very, very conservative to the point that we had a surplus on that. They returned back $1,298 after the medical mission. If you look at page 1, item 3 on page 1, cash medical mission. You look at that, page 1, item 3 there, is $1,298. That is the money returned back from medical mission. It wasn't spent. So the money came back. Why you're seeing it there is because at the end of last year, it hasn't posted yet, but it just got posted into the account. So next year you'll see that that amount is either going to cross itself out and transfer back to the bank account, or we'll leave it there as a means of monitoring our medical expenses. As a matter of fact, I was talking with DK today, and DK was coming up with the idea that if the House agrees, we can ask the bank to open up another account under OgbakorIkwerre with tagging it medical mission. That way, any payment that anybody is bringing goes into that medical mission. You understand? It's not that we don't want to be seeing it as a consolidated as a consolidated bank account, where medical mission goes there, convention activities, registration, and everything, just like that. We don't want to see it that way. We want to see medical mission account separate from our operation. However, that is why, in the bank, in this cash and cash equivalent on page 1, you see how our transactions are broken down by different accounts. Liquidity is coming in. We have the business checking account, we have the business investment account, we have the cash medical mission, we have the FCMB account. All these accounts are broken down, to specifically identify amounts we have on those accounts. If we decide to open up a new account, it's going to be one of those accounts specifically for medical mission. So we're going to see at any point in time how much a medical mission account we have. So when we're planning ahead, we plan ahead based on what we have in account. You know what I'm saying? So that is all about that medical mission. Yesterday there was a fundraising for medical mission. That fundraising, probably, if everything goes as planned, people who pledged, donated their money, redeemed their pledges before the next medical mission. We are thinking about having another 30,000 there, if it's up to 30,000, right? Over $20,000. So we're looking at having over $20,000 plus $1,200 and something that is in there already to beef up that, plus whatever else we're going to get, plus global giving. So this does not mean that we have enough money to go because we spent $32,000 last year. We gave out $32,000 last year and we didn't spend it all. There is political change, there is a climate change in Nigeria that we have that is uncertain. So we don't know if the local government chairmen are going to support the medical mission going forward. You understand me? So on our own part, we just have to do the best we can. Our members have to do the best. Let's take advantage of our non-profit status. As long as what you're spending relates to medical mission, you get a tax deduction out of it. This money you guys pledged yesterday and paid is part of your tax deduction. Membership dues is part of your tax deduction. So if you add all this up, it gets to the point that, hey, I can get a good chunk of money back, right, Charles? You're the tax expert. I can get a good chunk of money back by donating. You itemize it. Exactly. Everybody, we all have reason to itemize. A lot of us have reasons to itemize. So when you itemize, that's when you claim these things back. If you don't itemize, you don't get it. But I don't think anybody does the standard deduction because you guys have properties everywhere, right? And businesses everywhere. So yeah, so itemization is part of it. And to be honest with you, you could look at it differently. If your business is a sole proprietor, that means you're not going to claim it directly as a business expense. But if you're not a sole proprietor, if you're an LLC, which is LLC with an election, right, Charles? You end up claiming it as part of your business promotion, right? So you directly deduct this amount from your P&L as direct business expenses, not as donation that is going to cut down. So it's dollar for dollar if you charge it to your business expense. But that is another one. Hold on. Charles, hold on. But Charles wants to talk more on that, but that's going to be under question and answer if you want to have that question and answer later. Then if you come to the to page 4, I want you to look at the bottom line on the convention expenses on page 4. In 2022, it was $38,000 in Miami. In 2023, it was $36,000. It was $36,000, $38,000. This tells you that on the average, we are looking at $35,000 every year. This convention today is going to supersede these two costs we have here. Exactly. It's going to supersede these costs we have here. Okay? That is going to be something that I really want us to talk about it. Our business is not a 5-star business. But when we keep asking for a 5-star hotel that's close to the airport, it has some premium, some steep costs that we have to pay. So that is something we need to be thinking about, whether individually you can stay in a 5-star hotel, hallelujah, but to the organization, it takes a lot. So you look at between 2 years, $36,000, $38,000. But this year is going to be a little bit higher than that, So that is what we have there, for us to think about. And then other programs, the leadership research program and the youth activity, you look at both of them, it's almost, the youth activity is almost within range, of $1,500 and $1,600, always within range. This year is almost that amount too, which is okay. Though the leadership research program is a spillover from 2022. Some of the payments were made in 2023. That's why we have a lower amount. But so that is exactly what it is. And then on page 5 is what we call a cash flow statement. Your cash flow for 2023 going into 2024 was $59,000. Oh, sorry. Page 6? Oh, seriously? Okay. I don't know. Okay. So, 2022, we had at the end of 2022, we had $95,000, right? We had $95,000. And then at the end of 2023, we had $59,000. Remember too that we had to go through medical mission and all that, so it took a chunk of money out of us. But that's the cash position as at last year. Remember, this report is as at last year, not a live report today, like you guys will have it. But so after that page, the rest is note to what I have just explained to you. You have the time to read it through. You can read it through, and and then when we come back later, you can ask a question. Charles. There should be some copies over there. You good? You good? You good? Any additional? By the way, the auditor's report is not ready. So he didn't get the memo. The report was sent out. This report was concluded, when was that? March 31st. We finished the report March 31st. DK was in Australia reviewing it with me, and Cynthia got a copy, but the auditor, the auditor didn't get the note, so he wasn't able to prepare a financial, an audited financial auditor report. So, but we told him that he's going to get the same report next year when he comes. He's going to give us his report, right? And make up. The president said we can take questions. We still have a little time.
If you're going to take questions, then I have to clarify.
Yeah. Okay, clarify. You can have this.
What I was going to say, I think Ike said,
deduction.
No, before you get to deduction, there's something you said something about the fictitious. Let me use that word. We are not going to use the word fictitious. That is a little too harsh. We use the word uncollectible. uncollectible because we haven't been able to collect it yet, so we will reclassify that word as, no, from fictitious to uncollectible. So if we do collect it, it's in the book. If we can't collect it, we can write it. So that's one of the things I want to correct. Now, the other part when he said about Schedule C and Schedule A, no, he didn't mention Schedule C, but that's what actually he meant when he said sole proprietor. So for those of you who file a return, if you do it as a business deduction, if you're a single member LLC and you have to file as a sole proprietor, you have to report it on a Schedule C. Now, if you file it on your personal return, you have to file it on Schedule A. So, and that is what it means, Schedule A, if you're single, it has to be at least 13,850 worth of itemized deduction. And what is it that is 13,850? Your mortgage interest, your property tax, your state tax if you live in a state that tax you. Then the other part will be your church contribution, and any contribution you make here should be over 13,850 if you're single to be able to itemize. If you're head of household, what is a head of household? That's when you and your children with no husband in the house, or you and your children with no wife in the house. That is $19,000. So you have to have more than $19,000 in all of what I just said to itemize. Then if you're married, then it's going to be $27,700. So meaning all of this encompassed together have to be $27,700. So if you don't have up to $27,700, you got the paper is a cost.
You can also make sure just add that these numbers are adjusted every year.
Yeah, and they adjusted each year. So 2023 numbers is what I'm giving you. 2024, it may be higher on all of them. So, and sometimes they go up by $150 or $200. So again, they will go up in 2024. But again, this is what Ike was talking about if you give. Now, the reason why we are doing this is because all of this time you give to the organization, there's nothing to show you gave them. So we give you a little paper and it's a certificate, something to put in your pocket. So just in case you need it, you know, and if you're audited, IRS will ask you, do you have a document to show what you donated? And that document is what we gave you. And since we are non-profit, we can give out those things, as many as we want to, you know, for people who give us money, and they can deduct it, and there's no dollar limit to what they can deduct, as long as they give it, either in value, in cash, or what? In kind. Thank you. So, yeah, so you can donate your old car. You can donate your old car to Ogbakor. You can donate your boat. You can donate your house. So all of those things are things we can receive, and we can convert them into cash. So, yeah, you can donate your services yourself, and it may be worth money.
Oh, sorry. Let me interject a little bit. Okay. Now that he made mention of services, here is another way our professional nurses can gain out of it. When you go to Nigeria for 2 weeks for the medical mission is 1 week, right? You go to Nigeria, you lose wages. You volunteered your professional time to go over there. I don't know how much you are paid per hour, but there is a software or third-party valuation that is going, when you punch in the numbers, they're going to tell you, oh, this person earns this amount of money per hour. So if you go to Nigeria and spend this 40 hours a week, we can as well value your hours there for these 40 hours a week and give you the value of that as professional service donated in kind, as Charles was saying. That adds to your tax deduction, that adds to our revenue. But the problem with increasing this revenue is that he has to file the long form, and that long form is pretty long and tiresome. So the more our revenue increases, right, it gives us a better outlook because it shows that we're actually doing what we're supposed to do. in terms of medical mission and supporting our medical mission out there. However, for the guy who is going to be preparing the tax, it's a headache for him. And make out.
All right, before we get to question, let me clarify something here too that I just said. I said before we get to that, let me clarify something I just said. For those nurses, please don't deduct what you work because I won't defend you in the audience. So you can do medical miles. Medical miles meaning how long it takes you to get there. For those of you who at least bought a flight ticket, that flight ticket has $1 value on it. So that is something you can deduct. Now, for those of you who drove from point A to point B, and from point B to point C to do work-related, you can calculate your mileage, and those medical miles are converted, if I'm not mistaken, about 17 cents or 17 cents a mile. So meaning that you can claim 17 cents of every mile you have to go do those charity work. So, yeah, I see your hands, but let me finish first. All right, so if you're doing the conversion of work, then you have to talk about, because your job is a little related, you get per hour salary, or either per hour or salary. Then you have to now convert both per hour, what goes in retirement benefit and all of that, and subtract that, so it's a little complex. So the best thing to avoid complex problems is not to get in complex issues. So that is, so that is what I will advise. So, but anyway, we start with questions. I noticed somebody has a question there. Do you have a mic?
Thank you for the very good report and very efficient report. Now, just a question about donations for the medical mission. We are called OIUC, sometimes OIUC Canada, right? I know that we are 501 country. If you're in Canada or Ireland or wherever, it's in Canada, you have Canadian members here, and you donate to OIUC. How do you take a tax in Canada if you're not certified in Canada? How do you encourage those in Canada to donate to OIUC since we're not? I don't know where we're Canada tax.
Is that one of your questions, or is that your question? That's all?
Yeah,
All right, look, 501c3 is in where? United States. So what does that mean? Whatever paper will give you to deduct in your taxes, if you file a U.S. tax return, then you will follow U.S. rules, right? Now, if you file Canadian rules, since I don't live in Canada, I don't know what those rules are, but however, Canada do have where you convert the equivalence of Canadian dollar. In the Canadian tax return that I have done, you convert the Canadian dollar, and there is what they call foreign income, right? You have to report foreign income, foreign deductions, and all of that. So whoever is your tax person in Canada will advise you, but for us, all we've done is issue you a paper, all right?
Curriculum maker, just to have, to add to what Charles said, those that live in Canada, right, if the tax laws which allows, recognizes a foreign charitable organization can afford them the ability to actually deduct those donations. I don't know if that answered your question. Because in Canada, they will look at OIUSA as a foreign charitable organization, just like most of us that make donations to maybe churches and all that stuff in outside Nigeria. If you're trying to take that deduction here in the US, it has to be an organization that US tax laws will recognize as a charitable organization, and you can deduct that. So that is basically to answer, the simple way to answer your question.
And I can give you.
Make sense?
Yeah, I
That is correct. Yes, they can donate and they will be able to take a deduction, provided that in Canada, our organization is recognized as a charitable organization. We are here, but I don't know, I can't tell you what their own definitions of non-profit is.
And let me add something that happened in real life from a client that I deal with in regards to that issue. I have a client who is from Cameroon and gave $59,000 to a church in Cameroon. So, to build the church. And then he was audited. And I have to represent him with IRS. And I took a case to the U.S. tax court. So anyway, this is what happened. 59,000 Canadian, I don't know if it's city or franc, Cameroon. But anyway, when we did the return, he said I gave 59,000. IRS picked it up for audit. And then they said, okay, the church is in Cameroon.
It's not
They,
Stella.
huh?
It's not Stella.
Oh, no. So the church is in Cameroon. The church is in Cameroon. You cannot deduct what you gave in Cameroon in your tax return in the U.S. because it is a 501c3 in the U.S., not in Cameroon. So they disallowed the whole $59,000. So now, I talked to the lawyer and the auditor from IRS. I said, can you look up in the sky? He looked in the sky. He said, what is in there? I said, God. So I said, okay, so you are telling me there's a God of Cameroon and God of America. So he said, don't make me have to answer God this question. I said, tell me, what is it, Cameroon or this? And he said, okay, I'll give you half of the deduction. So my client got half of 59,000, so we left. So again, now, but to add to your question, what is in another country is another country, but for right now, and if you look at iFinancial, I don't think, even in this financial we have here, we say OgbakorIkwerre USA Inc. We didn't say anything in Canada because we don't want to start interpreting Canadian law that we don't know. All right? Okay.
I'll take the hands in order. So 1, 2,
Reverend.
3, and then 4. Okay.
All right, which one do I get first?
The man with the mic.
Okay.
Come down where and make out. Question. One question and one clarification. That clarification goes to Chief. Chief, the mileage deduction for 17 cents per mile. That would be if you commit yourself, or if you drive as a group, right?
Individually, wherever you go.
If you use your vehicle, not okay? And then drive. If you use group driving, that does not apply, or they can correct it.
What do you mean group driving? That is what I mean.
Others are the M of our local government now, for instance. And I decided now I use one vehicle. And then that vehicle, it will maybe 2 or 3 of us. One person wire. So how do we prorate the mileage?
The point is that, remember the service that is rendered, right? Is individual. Your blood perform or service, right? So as they go to perform that service, they travel the same way. Now, if we are going to the service, the mileage you did in Nigeria, remember also Nigeria business, who paid for the rental of the vehicle? Ogbako, not you. So you're not going to get the mileage.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah, you don't get the mileage because Ogbako rented the vehicle.
Or
whatever. Thank you. So the second one or for Ike, with the way the Naira mega depreciate, when you have that amount of money in Naira, it becomes almost useless or valueless if you don't use it, if you don't engage that amount of money in doing what you are doing in Nigeria. So my question, Bo, since I was lucky enough to have, if you have responded to this, please pardon me, maybe Nuna or Nyaga and that time. My concern about, since I have now medical mission where they use Naira and all, is it possible, or if you are doing it, almost matter, pardon me, is it possible that we may begin to be using that Naira in exchange to what they do? Because I will get dollars from here, and then we can exchange it to them. That way the money doesn't get sitting in the Nigerian bank doing nothing. And make out.
Please, if we'll keep our questions to 2 minutes so that they will go around. Thank you. I'm sorry, I was looking for it.
Okay, Frank. Thank you for your question. Now, remember that we are consigned, the consign for exchange rate is only for this financial statement that we're making. Because the Naira in Nigeria is Naira in Nigeria. When you spend it in Nigeria, however you spend it, there is no impact of exchange rate. It is what it is. The only thing is that maybe because of increasing inflation, what that amount would have got you last year may not be the same amount he will get you this year. Provided that we are not bringing that money back here, we are not concerned about exchange rates. That's number one. Number two, the money that are in Nigeria, apart from the money that is in the general account, the other amounts are set aside for specific purposes. And we cannot use that money to pay for medical missions. For instance, the OBL Endowment Fund, no matter what happens, we cannot access that money to pay for any other thing. It's basically for that purpose. Okay? So now the money in our general account, right? General current account, we can choose to say, okay, and I wouldn't even advise this. We can choose to say, okay, we are going for medical mission, we have 10 million naira or whatever. Let's access that money. But that money is for general funds. If we access it and use it for medical mission, which means if we need money here, we have to borrow from medical mission, and that is where the impact of the exchange rate will come in, because now we will be exchanging that naira at a worst rate. But provided you are, for medical mission, you are taking only medical mission money to spend the medical mission, we shouldn't have an issue with the exchange rate. I don't know if I answered the question, Kalman Maker.
Yeah. And let me just add one thing to that. When we go back to Nigeria, or when I go back to Nigeria with assistance from the vice president, we'll be able to, formally have an online access. We've changed the account signatories and everything. But when I was there, it was a little bit, they tried to have us have an online access to the account. That way we can operate it from wherever we are, but that kind of like stalled a little bit. So when I go to Nigeria again, I will try to work with her to be able to, have an online access to all the accounts. That way, when we go for medical mission and they need money, we could just do transfer from there and make up.
Let me throw this question quickly. Roman Maker, I want to thank you, the three of you, for what you're doing for us. And since we have you, the experts, Maka, I mentioned earlier that it will be possible to separate the medical mission account, set up a separate account for it. The reason I said that is, this one has a confusion because now you got too many things in one bunch. If we have a separate account for this medical mission trading, it will be easier to read and analyze and having said that, it will also have a budget, so that the budget will drive the expenditures. Right now, we don't know. Based on that, why we're with that medical mission. My question, second question, as regards these local governments, and we hear, I think there was one convention I went, and there were pledges or support that were going to come from the local governments. When I reflect here, what are we getting from this local government chairman or whatever, or as a support for what we're doing? And if there is, where is it reflected here?
Let me.
Master Mekao, your question is a two-part. The first part, creating a bank account specifically for medical mission is not going to change the presentation of this, because medical mission is part of OIUSA, and it will be comprehensive of everything, but it's broken down by different programs, right? So you have the medical mission, which is a different program in when you're looking at the income statement. And then on the assets, it's also broken out by whatever balances that we have in each of those projects. Now, your second question on not showing what the local government chairman donates. When I was making the presentation here, he made a comment that we were not able to get that information from the people that actually participated in medical, or the people that was in touch with the local government chairman. We know that they provided something for us, and we know that we asked that question during our executive meeting to say, can you guys provide us that information so that we can include it in the financial statement? Unfortunately, we did not get that information, and that is why it's not here. But we do know that there were certain things that the local government provided. For instance, I would say maybe, I don't know if they launch or security. So things like that, they were not able to, the people that went for the mission or the people that interfaced with the local government chairman were not able to actually give us that value. And that is why it's not here. Kalenji Meka.
And to add to that, please, no cash of any nature was given to our representatives over there. All things were done in kind, so Eric will expatiate on that and make a...
Yeah, Biko, the lunch is ready. If you can just hold on to your questions, we're coming back to it right away. And Biko, so that you grab your lunch. Actually, we can actually make this a walk-in lunch, okay? Grab your lunch, because these people are on time and they need to get their stuff together. So grab your lunch, come back to your seat, and we'll continue with the questions. And Biko.
Lunch is for registered members. We need you with your badge. Sorry? We need you with your badge to pick up lunch, please. It's for registered members. Thank you. We need your badge. It's California. We need it. Thank you.
And eating comfortably, we can ask our questions. The financial team, they are ready to address your questions. Ambiko, so that we can make up the lost time. Ambika.
Again, the group delivered their message and gave a brief history of the welfare instituted by the OgbakorIkwerre California group.
So the questions and answer will continue. We can recognize the next person that has a question for the financial team. Reverend. While you're eating, just
Okay, this is just an information. This hotel Does somebody want to talk? Okay. This hotel, everything we're going to spend here, we're going to lose $8,000 to $9,000 in taxes, sales tax. And the reason why we're going to lose that, and the reason why we're going to pay sales tax is because we didn't take we didn't take advantage of our 501c3. Not that we didn't take it. Now it's now beginning to be a stimulating conversation. The problem is we applied for it to get tax exempt for it, but sales tax is controlled by the state. It's not by the federal. Because it's controlled by the state of OgbakorIkwerre, California, whether they are 501c3 or not, I don't know. But if OgbakorIkwerre, California is 501c3, OgbakorIkwerre, California would have applied for tax exempt with the state. When we came in, we are now riding on their 501c3 status and their tax exempt in the state. That way, we don't pay taxes when we buy sales tax. We don't pay sales tax for the services we're getting. But with respect to California, I don't know if they are 501c. California, I'm going to 501c. Where are you people? So, in California, my president, my past one, you know.
Yeah, I didn't put the party to the
Anybody from California?
Yeah, the issue is this.
Where was the register?
Oh, are you USA? It's registered.
In California.
We are 501c.
No, it's not in
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's not in Georgia.
But it doesn't matter where we're registered. If we apply for this hotel, we need to apply.
Yeah. The simple answer is OgbakorIkwerre, California do not currently have 501c from IRS. No. However, OgbakorIkwerre, California is tax exempt under the state of California.
No, so
we are tax exempt under the state of California.
Dr. Eroka.
Yes.
If this is your question, I'm going to try to explain.
No, it's not a question. He was responding to his question.
All right. Put it on mic. Now you can hear me. Yeah. Good. Sales tax is a different animal. And I'm going to try to explain the animal so we can dissect the animal. All right? This is how it works. We have a 990 approval which gives us the 501c3 application approved by the IRS. That is federal tax return exemption. Nothing to do with state, nothing to do with city, or what in some areas you call county, or in Louisiana we call it parish. Now, most county and state combined is a combination of either 9% or 9.75% or 10% total. Now, this is how it works. When you get a 501c3 approval from the federal, you have to apply the same thing to the state that you are in. And if you are approved for the state that you are in, then the state will issue what they call a resale, I repeat, resale certificate. What does a resale certificate do? Meaning you take it to all the vendors, anybody you do business with, and you tell them, here's my certificate, meaning I do not pay what? Sales tax. And they will put it in their record So when you come and buy anything from them or purchase anything or whatever, they will exempt you from sales tax. Otherwise, they will require you to do what? Pay the sales tax, no other exemptions. That is one for the state. And guess what? The county that you live in will do the same thing. You have to come back and apply for the county as well. So meaning you waive the whole 9 or 10%. Otherwise, if you get the state waived, you still have the county to pay. So when we go to the hotel here, they are charging us the whole sales tax, both county and the state. And that's what I was talking in dollar format, that is going to be about $8,000 to $9,000. So now, to answer Yeruka, the California has a procedure where you still have to apply for non-profit. Under, I think it goes through the Attorney General's office. Then once you get it approved, then you come back to the franchise board. That's what they call it here, right? Franchise board, because I've dealt with them. So you talk to the franchise board, provide your papers, then they will approve you for the franchise board, right? Then if you're in San Bernardino County, then you got to come back and do the 1-for-1, San Bernardino County. So these are the process. So the part that you are saying that California doesn't have a 501c3, no, OgbakorIkwerre here doesn't have a 501c3. Myself and I had this conversation about what, a week or 2 weeks ago? What we can do with you all. We can, OgbakorIkwerre can bring you either as an affiliate or as a subordinate, or you can apply for your own by yourself under your name. And if you apply your own by yourself under your name, we will help you apply them for you. Meaning, it's saving in the professional fees in the sense that I can explain that a little more, how you're going to save that money, and we can help you get it applied so you can have that local thing. In case we come back to California again, then we will save on those sales tax. And if you do anything here, you will save on that sales tax.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Everything Charles said there is exactly the procedure. I do recall, because in the past, we have actually asked OgbakorIkwerre National if all the local chapters can kick back on them on the 501c, but no answer was done that. But the question I have just answered, OgbakorIkwerre California do not have independent IRS exemption. However, we do have a state exemption. The office that registers that is the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the franchise tax. We are clear on that. But as far as 501c from the Fed, we do not have.
Dr. Yeruka, let me correct something. You do have a state approval.
Yes.
That is a different thing.
That's what I'm saying.
That is a different thing. Don't even bring it in this discussion. It's not in this discussion. That is where you register your entity. Entity registration is separate. All right? So it has nothing to do with sales tax.
How long does it take to do the application? And why are we finding out now? I mean, this was a year ago. We said we're coming to California. I mean, that's what I'm trying to find out. It's a year ago. We said we're coming to California. Why would we find out now?
We need to find a way to
Now, since I only have a clarification for my question, it's different from this. Like, can I ask that question? Okay. Now, on page 1 of your statement.
No, I want to ask you a question. I just want to understand from you. You said you guys have California exemption,
which is totally different from IRS.
Yeah, I know. So you think that sales exemption? I mean, if you guys have done events here in the past or have done events in the past, you are not just sales tax.
Well, the point is we have not done anything that we ask us about sales tax and everything we do it, and we are current on the state exemption every year.
All right, because the reason why I was asking that question is if really we do, and maybe we can find out, maybe we can try to. No, we can try.
What you have and take it to the hotel.
So what we can do is try to add OgbakorIkwerre California to the contract, and that way we get the exemption.
You guys are the leadership. You guys do whatever kind of do. Okay. My question is, if you look at your page 1, I can see here there's a small difference between the 2022 and the 2022, the asset and the total liability and net asset column in 2022. There's a slight difference. 2023 is okay, they're all, and I can see 2022 total assets 215, 920. Now I can see net asset and liability and net asset 2018, 38. Can you explain that difference?
What page?
Page 1. It wasn't balanced, just 2022. So they take it off half.
Erica brought in a good point here. It's a difference of $2,471. Sorry. It's a difference of $2,071. Second. 2473. Okay. Secretary, take a note of that. I will figure out where the difference came from and make out. I'll figure out where the difference came from. But to go back to the 501c3 that we're talking about, the reason why I brought it up, I've explained one portion of it, which is the tax advantage we have. If we have to do conventions, no, not if, when we do conventions going forward, that should be a requirement. We want to know if that local chapter has an exemption. Boston has it, Houston has it. I don't know if Dallas and Maryland, if they do have it. If they do have it, fine. All you have to do, you apply for the sales tax certificate when you want to do your convention. That way we take advantage of it. If they don't have it, if they're not 501c3 covered, please let us get you guys registered. Get you guys registered. You get a 501c3 exemption. Once you get a 501c3 exemption, then you can apply for the sales tax. And when we come to your state to have our convention, it's you who is going to be on top. We are partnering with you so that we can now rub off from your sales tax, certificate that becomes the same thing. So we don't have to pay this tax. We didn't pay sales tax in Baton Rouge because Charles so talked himself out of it. Yeah, he talked to them, and Charles is the mayor of Baton Rouge. He talked himself out of it, and they forgave them. But if you're going to do the same thing somewhere else, it's going to be the same situation. Hotels are going to demand it. Frank, make up.
Frank, let's see you, Reverend, because he has a question for us.
And let us.
You made mention about audio visual convention, I believe. audio visual and laptop that you may have to option up. So when any administration decides not to use their own laptop, does that mean we have to buy a laptop? Because
No.
you said that every administration.
No, what I say is that, let me give you the background. Chima, during World administration, bought HP Envo laptop, and he used it during that period of time. And then when Chile came, I don't know if he used it, but during the last administration, it wasn't used. And I recall Asor saying that the laptop is old. Asor is Asoye didn't use it. Asoye, please, if I'm off, correct me, okay? Asoye didn't use it. It was Asor who had the laptop. And Asor never even opened it because Asor said the laptop is old. It hasn't been updated. The operating system, is old and this and that. So he never used it. So he used his own personal laptop. No, we're not going to buy any more laptops. We're not going to buy any more laptops. If I'm comfortable with my laptop and you want to use it, fine, use your laptop and do the job. Now the question is, we have a laptop that is there, it's still functional. All we need to do is use it. Like I'm using it. You understand me? I'm using it. Though it's going to cost me some money to upgrade it, clean it up, and buy antivirus software, put on it. But that is refundable if I ask for it. But I'm using it. You understand me? So if I'm done and I pass it on to the next guy or the next person to do the job, will the person want to use it?
Why not?
So, yeah. But the way we can make it functional, let me just say this, the way we can make it functional and have the next person use it is to store our information on that laptop. When I load up information there, everything about this convention today is in that laptop. When I pass it on to the next guy, I don't want you asking me for file or record or whatever. No, you're saying there, go there and get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only way we can do it.
Then it's continue.
Yeah, continuation of operation.
But that's one question. My other question is this. I recall during World War's time that we bought audio mic, sets of mic, and the audio system. Who has it? Because it's unbecoming of us to be buying things over and over. We need to have somebody that may have to be taking an audit of what we have, so that we can even if it means one person being a custodian of our property, and we pay to ship it to wherever the convention is taking place. Because this morning we had church here, no mic here. Well, but when we had it previously, we had mic. So I just want us to have that in mind, and then so what? No. What I was saying, you made mention about people sending in their expense, for medical mission. Is it too late, or can they send it for their expense?
If you haven't filed your taxes yet, if you file an extension, you haven't filed your taxes yet, you can send in and then we can give you the letter. Though we're just going to date it last year, we're not going to date it this year. We're just going to date it last year, so it stands for last year, expenses. Or you can amend your tax return to include if you're deducted to itemize it. Yeah.
I think there were other questions that followed with that. Audiovisual.
You asked too many questions already.
So,
He said something. That's
sorry,
what I
sir.
was saying.
If we will keep the questions to minimum and 2, so that we can go around. And Mr. Chair, with your permission, if there is a cutoff on this, so that we can move on to other things.
Sorry, I'll be brief, because the thing I wanted to follow up on is the laptop. I remember during World War's administration, I was in EC then, and the issue was security of our information, and that was why that computer was bought. So now, making it look like somebody wants to use their personal computer versus using Ogbako computers is, I just don't get it. So if it's outdated, then can it brought up to EC that we need to update it and pay for the cost instead of making it a choice? Because we already paid for it, and that was the reason, so that people don't put Ogbako information in their personal computers. That's just what I want to say. We need to keep it because that was the reason it was bought.
Time for question. Okay, this is a response, right? Okay.
Because, yeah, I'm looking at the time, it's almost 2 p.m. We'll probably take 2 more questions. I know we have a lot of questions on this financial matter. We can go on and on today, but we have to keep track of the time so that we can meet other things we have here. I don't want you to lose your questions. If you have to write it down for us to address it at some point, but let's take 2 more questions. 2 more questions so that we can move forward. 2 more questions. Because
there's a question that needs a response.
Which question is that? Which question?
Ms. Sigwe asked a question.
No.
Or was it a comment?
It was a comment.
Okay.
Yes.
2 more questions.
Ms. Scott can I need to ask my question.
Okay, yes.
So basically, I don't know.
Okay, I'll get it started, you finish it up. I just wanted to thank you guys for your recommendation about the opening a medical mission separate account. Since 2021, our very first medical mission, we have been pleading and begging to have our own. It never happened. So I'll let our project leader continue. Thank you.
All right, Nkalaman Maker, yeah, this is OgbakorIkwerre again. The report that you gave, as far as the money that was what was spent, what was given to us from the local government area, I think we gave you a worksheet where all those things were broken down. I mean, I got it all together.
You gave me the worksheet. The report is based on the worksheet you gave me, but not specifically what local government donated to this.
Okay.
I didn't see that. Sorry.
Okay, those things, I guess he didn't ask that question because we said the local government provided us transportation. That's area, transportation and logistics, that area was completely stated there. The local government also provided us security. That was there, they did that. They also prepared the clinic, the hospital where we had and provided all the canopies. Those things that the one that we paid for, we didn't state again. The donation from Dr. Timothy, Ezra Timothy, we didn't include there because that was part of a medical honorarium and that had nothing to do with us. So all those information that we provided here were pertinent to what the local government chair gave us some of those things. And we worked with the budget that we have. So basically, I just want to make sure that nobody here is thinking that any money was handed to anybody that went to that medical mission for any of this thing. I just want to clear that. That's one. Two, you gave the statement here about the money that we have at the bank in Nigeria. I didn't see any balance for the medical mission on that account. You didn't categorize that we had money. Medical mission money? No, that was the money. Was the money in Nigeria included in that?
Yeah, that was everything. That was the conversion. Cash medical mission. That was one.
Okay, so that was not the money left from the budget that you gave us.
That's the money left out of 32,000 we gave you guys.
That's what I'm saying, but we have money in the bank in the Nigerian bank for the medical mission?
Everything we have, sorry.
Everything we have in Nigeria is included in the FSP. We don't have a separate, medical mission account in Nigeria. What we have are the Nigerian accounts, which we explain here as their balances.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next thing was that you made mention about the SBA loan, that 13,000 or 10,000 or something was paid, and you said unilaterally. Can you please explain that to the audience?
About what?
That money was paid back to SBA. You used the word, if I'm not making a mistake, unilateral decision or something like that. Can you please explain that?
All right. I think when we were appointed as, I believe this issue came up probably in Baton Rouge, where the former Treasury made a payment of $10,000 to pay down the SBA loan, but I think that decision was made by himself without the approval of the EC or the general body at the time. And I think it's an issue that the new administration struggled to deliberate, and the decision was to kind of bring that to the General Assembly as part of the report they are going to be giving today. So I guess Eric is the only one that picked it up, and bottom line is, yes, we have a loan, and we are supposed to be making a monthly payment, but a $10,000, a one-time payment, was made by the former treasurer without getting approval from either the EC or the General Assembly. Nkalamameka.
Just for the record, that payment from what I saw was made on May 22nd, a few days before the convention, and it was never revealed to anybody. I think the former treasurer is here. Can we ask him to please explain this to the Assembly?
Asoye, please be good. Mr. Eric, with all due respect, please, I think unless the General Assembly wants explanation to that, before we can do that, I don't think you have the right to ask him to.
I can ask him, a member of the General Assembly.
I know. I know. President, I think this is, you have to handle this one.
But I'm Mekau. Financial matter is always a very sensitive matter. When we took over from the previous administration, we wanted to make sure that we have everything correct in the account, because I don't want to take on any responsibility that I would have to account at some point in time. And I thank this body that you deemed it necessary to have this financial team, because this is the best that we can have. This is the financial group that we have. I want to make sure that we are more accountable financially to this body. Because a lot of people who are sitting by the fence, and the reason they do that is they're simply saying, I don't know what they're doing with money. We're not spending our money right. We're not doing the right thing. And because of that, they don't want to join the organization. And this was to change that narrative. And you took a good decision. And I appreciate this team because they are doing an excellent job. I told you guys yesterday that you don't have to be worried about your money anymore. When we took over the account from the previous administration, we made this observation. There were a couple of other things that we observed. This SBA loan was one of them. The issue of how we transition from one administration to another administration in terms of when we do signatory changes to our account, that was an issue. And I know it was not reflected in the report. Mr. Wede will probably have an issue with that. The idea that a president did not have an access or was never a signatory to the account of the organization for the 4 years that he was a president of this organization raises some concern. It is not to say that we did not start the process of changing signatures to the account, but whatever happened in the process of doing that, I don't think any of that kicked in. My brother went to the bank with a letter after the election to hand over to us. The bank held him for over 2 hours because they wanted to know what he was doing in the bank at the time. Why was he there to change signatures to the account? And during that time that they kept him in the office, they were probably basically running a background on him if he was there to do something fishy or something foul, right? But that was concerning because he could have been arrested, right? But we want to make sure that things like this doesn't happen again. I wanted to set up a committee to look into this, but I don't want it to look as though anytime we have a financial matter, we have to set up a committee. That's why I asked the financial team to put it in their report. Let us bring it to the General Assembly. Let's see how we can address issues like this so that handover process shouldn't be too cumbersome, shouldn't be a problem. It should be a streamlined process. But these are the issues. But because we're going to walk through this to ensure that things like this never happens again. Never happens again. So that I really want us to move forward to the other things that we have on the agenda today, because we're not going to have enough time to discuss all the financial questions we have today. And because I will appeal to this body.
Mr. President, please, I have something to say. Please, it's very important. Please.
Okay. Because MC.
Mr. President, let me say something before, please.
Is that a response?
Mr. President, please, let me say something. Look, we can sit here and dug out everything that has been wrong. And about happy here to keep digging out something that is wrong. There's always going to be something that is wrong. There's always going to be something that is smelling in Denmark. So what I'm saying is this. 2 issues have been raised. Issue number 1 is Eric not being able to access the bank and being held for 2 hours. The other part is in regards to payment of the SBA loan without permissions. There's no need of us beating down on this thing. Okay, the mistakes have been made. Let's vote a motion to say, okay, these mistakes were made, effective today going forward. Let's not make these mistakes again and move on.
Mr. your point of order, please. You're going to make out. President, no floor, go ahead. Kala meeting now or meeting no more by her, although I have been rewarded. There come a time we cannot continue to sugarcoat things when it comes to finance. Exactly. Because some of us have withhold donating money to this organization because of past experience. They don't have now. 3 of them there, I have a lot of trust on them to do the right thing. But we need to give them power to do those things. And I believe in a report. Let the body make a decision. Yes. Not for you to start making this assumption. Here, the assumption continues. Yes. Now, Eric was the president for 4 years or 5. You're telling me he doesn't have access to the account. No. Something is wrong. Yes. It has never happened before. What happened? Yeah. And that was not in your report, official state of Ogbako affair. You never mentioned that. If you did mention that, please pardon me. Now, financial report as an audit. If all of you recall in Atlanta, and I don't want to mention name because people become defensive.
I'm giving you my opinion. Audit in Atlanta, I defied for years, all the way down to Michigan, all the way down to Dallas. It was recently, the audit was done, and it was not comprehensive. Exactly. Today, some of us are still having doubt about our mission to Nigeria and how we spend money. I know I'll be out of order to ask a question. In 2023, what was our budget for this convention? And how much did we spend? Did we overspend? We're spending all this money, Osayega's no car budget right now. At the convention here now, we won't see again till next year. We were supposed to vote on the annual budget for next year on this meeting. Yes. That was during my administration. That is how it was done. I don't know what happened, but in Kalano, we grow as we age. There come a time we say, wait a minute, our membership is 240. What is the average for 3 years? Let's calculate our budget. Then Beverly report, as new we spending this type of money, you still have a lot of power to make changes on budget based on what you see on revenue. We're able to report what you found or what went wrong. If I was the president for 4 years, you don't have access to account, something wrong. And there in our constitution, we have a procedure. The president has 30 days to hand over. I can recall, I wanted to travel on my own to Boston to make sure we transfer the account to Dr. Bunda when the 30 days was coming. Till today, I wasn't refunded. If I recall, I think I paid my fare.
Then it wasn't refunded. No. Then it wasn't.
Yeah. Exactly. Because people should take this in serious. Heck, I'll be way on her. I'm not banana way on her when people begin to suspend you. See, my father was in Bishobo. Also, one like a eraser. Because he will so also like, you cross the line and put your initial. Exactly. I was joking with my wife. I said, some of this things we see back home reflect on you. Yeah. And also, remember her accounting. Don't erase. Cross and put your initial. And that thing stuck on me. Why am I mean, that receipt. Give me the receipt. You put it at a place. It works for me. But this thing now here, man, we have to be careful. No sugar coated some of this now here. I'm not saying to point finger and pull on $10,000. It's done. Let's leave that alone. But for president to have access to organization in a run for 4 years, this body need to know what happened. Because he cannot function. Because we trust the president to run the organization and he don't have account. Who's signing the signature? And Chineke Mehoma, he was not arrested. Chineke no be record as likely. By now, I'm putting my areas in them for no reason. You gotta make out. Now, let me take it back on that. Allow me to take it back on.
Okay, I know that the president brought this up, and I just want to piggyback on that. Again, it was after the convention, I wrote a letter as the former president. I went to the bank, giving them the names, a list of the former officials and the new officials. Okay, and that was where they detained me for 2.5 hours. They had an investigator sitting next to me, just having just a casual conversation with me. I came to realize later that was an investigator. They detained me there for 2.5 hours. Casually, I didn't know what was going on. Left the manager's office to go to one of those offices, where they close the door and just you and them, and they were asking me questions. I had the brochure and everything showing that I was the president. They were talking to me that my signature was never there. And to piggyback on that, okay, to continue with that, in January of 2023, I have signed a check. I usually have the treasurer and the financial secretary sign the checks. But this time it was a payment that was being made to the treasurer. I signed the check. So I can go and report myself to the bank that I committed fraud by signing a check with my signature when my signature was not on the account, and let them investigate. I signed a check. What was the intention? arrest my case.
Your case is arrested.
Wow.
Order, please.
Cabo Collins has been treasurer and served the last 6 years. Okada na ha. Obramono from near at least. Ozanga Collins has Sonye Mel Eric prevent Osane Ogbakorikwerre Bank OgbakorIkwerre. We have to recall that no Ngabem election over the year before the COVID. After that election, I'm in Dallas, I think so. Then the COVID is setting in. After settling in, there was never a time I meet it. But just change the signatory. So after the election at Dallas, the COVID set in. Remember, we didn't have any other convention the year and the year after for the signatory to be changed. And actually, it's not on the treasurer to change the signatory. It's the president's responsibility to call for the signature to be changed. How come now it's Ansonye's problem?
No, they didn't say it's a problem.
No. Allow me. No, people have said things here. Only somebody keep her out. I didn't keep him out. Even the check he signed, even in my own head, with that, so I think we even believe that no of a signatory to the bank account. There was a 1 million we did, and we needed him to sign signature. He signed, and not anyway intended that knowing that now I'm going to try to set him up or anything. For what? The one we tried to change in Nigeria, my brother, who changed the signature in Nigeria for problem. So several times he signed the paper, we send it there, they're telling you it's lost. After 6 months. We come back again, we ask them to sign, they said they will do online. We give them all the documents, they will come back and say it's lost. So we did all of that. Why would I keep him away from sign of World Bank, OgbakorIkwerre, my brothers? I better have one worker. Then I better less than I better, don't make discourage. I walk, I mean, I come on, no, Yemen, I'm up with you, then they can explain. I didn't do any of those. And it's his own responsibility to call for the change of signatory. And so if he did it for 4 years, he can't come here and say nobody, the treasurer kept him away. And the second point I will make, this loan we're talking about, no, somebody will move on. I want us to move it on. Because even as at now, when it was my time to move, to leave, even before last year, 2 years ago, I told them, later. Now, another thing, not loan that we should pay back. When I look at the address, it was my address and Eric's name on it. And in America, I was like, this is inconsistent. If they review that loan, they will have it at Alexandria, Virginia, with somebody who lives in New York. I went to the EC and I told them, ratify this document. It's not good. I'm a pastor. When my second job, they review my credit record every 3 months. So when I said that 1 year didn't happen, 2 years didn't happen, before last convention, I told them that I was not going to leave my name on a loan that I will not be monitoring. So to get action on that, the $10,000 was a statement. The $10,000 was a statement. And I wrote them a letter after that and said, if this is not corrected, this loan cannot be in my name. I'm going to pay up the balance before I leave office. So if I have gone forward to do that, like somebody said today, because it was after, if you tell somebody something has impact, they don't listen to you with empathy, they don't want to understand you, they think they just want to be stubborn. No, it wasn't. I have to save my job and save my career. And when it came up, all things happened, all things were said. And they wrote me and said, we have changed it. We have removed your name and address and everything. This May, that loan is still coming in my name and coming into my house asking me to pay for it. So I'm going to have I will not do that. Understand the 10,000 naira, if it's advantageous, let's use it. But I still want them to go back and take off my address from that loan. And I want that to be done before the end of next month. If not, I'll report this to my local office. That is what is going on. I cannot afford to lose a job because I did a job at OgbakorIkwerre. So Eric, I don't hate you, I'm not fighting you, but the way this is going is not what I intended.
I can't do this.
Chef, how do you want to proceed?
I definitely want Eric to respond to this.
Yes.
Because, just,
No.
the reason I say that is because
Yes.
Reverend Venerable is saying that we're using his address.
Yes.
Because I know that we talked about that. I don't know how. Because he wants that to be addressed before the next month. I want to be clear.
He wants that to be addressed for his own job. Yeah.
Eric, please let me address the address thing and everything, please. Mr. Assoye, Honorable Assoye, I'm sorry. Venerable, remember, most people, Mr. Assoye, you know that I mean good. All right, look, the issue about the address, SBA and all that, I will explain. I had over 2,000 clients that applied for SBA. And I've been guided them. Even though there's one I guided the other way, he went the other way. So he is in trouble right now. But anyway, now let me explain this to you. SBA is one of the most inefficient offices in the whole United States of America.
But he doesn't know that.
He doesn't.
So, and they never do right. Now, and if you doubt me, I'll give you a phone number of the SBA as a regional director. You talk to him and you see and what he will tell you. Now, to answer your question about the address, what SBA do, whoever is the president of the organization, they will list his name and the social security, because even though he may have a personal SBA loan, they will combine the business SBA loan, where he is the president, and his personal SBA loan. They will combine them under one account, meaning two separate accounts but under one profile. Now, they will have the address that the application, the original application was listed for the treasurer or the secretary, whoever is listed. They will have that address where you will receive mail. Now, what is it? So if Eric log on in their system, Eric will be seeing two different loans. His personal loan, if he had any, and the one for OgbakorIkwerre. But guess where the mail will be going to? Your address.
Whose
Physical address. The treasurer. Because that's the mailing address we have in the system when the loan was completed.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how SBA works. Now, good luck if you change, and I bet you $1,000 if you change it in a month from my pocket. They are not going to do it. I bet you that. I have a whole lot that I'm trying to change for 6 months. They haven't changed it. So the point I'm making, when you give us deadline, we understand the predicament you are in. You mentioned your credit and all whatnot. And I think I had a discussion with you before, if I'm not mistaken. Did I not? Venerable, I'm talking to you. I had a discussion before.
Conversation we have it, and you're not making any that change.
Right.
So,
Okay, no, I had a discussion not to make the change. I tried to explain it to you. Now.
all of that I understand.
Oh, yeah,
But
good.
Let's make the effort.
Good. Okay. Listen to this. Ike started working on something to try to get that address. Modified change. And guess what? Even with what Ike is doing, SBA is not going to talk to Ike. You know who they're going to talk to? Eric.
I changed it.
Correct.
Change address.
So look, Venerable,
So why is
the appeal I'm making to you, instead of us beating around all this bush, and Eric, if you can calm down, what we want to do is this, right? Give us time to work with Eric.
I'll give you time.
May the good Lord continue to bless you. So give us time, Eric, please, Eric, please. Give us time. We work with Eric. Eric, I think I provided you with some information, right?
It was changed to
Okay, I did provide Eric with information on who to reach and so on. So we are working on it. So, and I did that I think a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is this
please,
his address?
bear with us. We are working on it. We will hopefully resolve it for you. All right? And let me tell you one thing too. Even after we resolve it, 18 months from today, SB is going to change it back to your address again. Believe me.
Mr. Chair.
So we end by saying, this issue is dead. Eric will work with you. We'll remove his address, hopefully permanently if we can. And then if we change back again, let us know and we'll keep changing it, please. Wow. All right. Wow. Now, in the issue regarding the bank, the $10,000, right? Look, this organization, we're like our former president, Solomon Henrika said, we can't keep throwing things under the carpet. But however, what I'm asking is a motion from this organization. Put it on the floor from effective today. No treasurer or any official can pay a loan $10,000. Say it wants to make a statement. That is not a statement. That is an act of terrorism. Now, no. So, yeah. So what I'm saying is this: nobody should do that. And if you have to, bring it to the general body and let them, or your executive, and let them deliberate on it as if it's worth doing.
Yes.
Nobody has arbitrary right to do this.
Yes.
Nobody. Not even the president. So let's not start it and let's stop it now. So, and let's pass a motion, put it in place. This is now our rule going forward and forget about what happened in the past. That's my suggestion.
No, there's no motion. Also the
Constitution.
There's no motion.
Also the Constitution. Exactly.
So
it's in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution.
Very simple question. Very simple question. Very simple question.
It's in the Constitution.
It's there. Very simple observation. That's all I want to say.
Okay, one more. Just please, one more.
This is Chief Ben Amadi. Very simple observation, and I want to know. Obiwele SBA loan now. One. Okay? Because, okay.
It's in there.
Hold on.
The loan is there.
What is the balance as of today? Amount with them at the 10,000 apple.
No.
We need to know how much apple. Well,
Is it there?
40,000.
Yeah.
That's some
Between
change.
January and now, we pay $239 every month between January and now, and that is between principal and interest. The report for that period for this.
Are we still paying it? Up to date? Okay, after he paid the 10,000. So we address it that we are still paying it.
Yes, we
That's
are.
all I need to know.
Yes.
And make a.
Yes, we are correct. We are making payment. And because with all due respect, and in the interest of time, I know that there's a chance made a motion here. But it is in the Constitution that the president cannot even spend anything more than $200 without the approval of the executive committee.
Correct.
Okay? So, no, it's not about forgiveness. we said that a mistake has been made and that we've learned from this mistake. We want to put something in place to make sure that this does not happen any other time in the future, okay? We're going to come up with something in the EC that will make sure that this does not happen, and that a handover process is going to be seamless. That is not going to take an extended period of time, okay, for one administration to hand over to the next administration. So we're going to put up a proposal that will take care of all of this. Let me assure you again, that you have the best of the financial team you can think about. They are looking into all of this, and they will address our financial. So do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, because nothing is being swept under the rug. We look at all of this, but we want to handle this in a way that, okay, that keeps this organization moving and in the best interest of what we're trying to do. So no need for that motion. We're going to move forward. Anybody want any other question regarding our finance people? Please write it down, because because Frank,
Mr. President, wait.
Frank.
Just 1 minute, 1 minute, please. Ambar. But anything about money, when there is an error, can destroy the faith
confidence, yeah,
of this body. If it's not resolved, or something will sweep under the rug. Everything on mega pertaining to check is in our constitution. I'm going to ask you guys now, the current administration. Have you guys done the legal change as required by our constitution?
Yes.
The transfer?
Yes, we have.
Each one of you who are the signatories to the account presented to the bank to tender their signature to the bank?
Yes.
Individually, all three of them.
Yes.
And there's no how the president will not oversee what we have, because he has the custodian of this money that we contribute every year. He is supposed to see it. You, Mr. President, Patrick, right now, and making sure that this kind of error never occur again. Because if it does, you have destroyed the faith of this body. You must be the person in charge of knowing where every check that is issued goes. Period. And make out, I'm glad and make clear, and all of you don't have to go to the bank at one time. There are processes that we have done in the past. The president goes to his own local bank with his ID. He does it after he has provided the voting document from here. And then he mails the signatory back to the next person. He or she goes to the local branch and does it. Mega.
Yes, right. Mega, yes, we have addressed.
Okay. Please.
The place where we are right now, I think that we have some accountability in place. And I can tell you, before any money goes out of our account, I get a text message. I get an alert right away. It tells me. So we know what is happening. This financial team has put all of that in place. And I can show you going forward, we will not have this type of issue again. Because we will move forward. We'll go to the next. Financial team, thank you so much. You guys have done an excellent job. I appreciate you. Yes, one last thing we have to do. We have to adopt the financial report.
No, you adopt the report.
Because yes, we are going to adopt the report that the financial team presented today.
Audit is independent. Audit is independent of the financial report.
Right, yeah. Because real quickly, it should take. Because real quickly, I'm appealing. Let's adopt the financial report. This was a great report. It identified everything that you should know about where we stand today financially, okay? And the issues that we have have all been identified. And anything that is not resolved right now, we are working on it. So I will appeal to this body that we adopt the report presented by this body. Can I get a motion to adopt this report? A motion to adopt the report. Reverend.
I so believe that the financial report be adopted without the audit.
There's a motion here.
Give the mic. Reverend,
Yes, sir.
So moved that the financial report be adopted as read, pending the audit report.
Obia.
So shall it be a motion to adopt the report pending the audit report? Can I get a seconder to that motion?
I second.
Motion is seconded by Ms. Patience Igwe. That report is being adopted pending the audit report that should be commissioned. Audit report, auditors.
Different from the financial statement.
So because we have the motion has been seconded, just by a show of hand, can I get your vote by just raising your hand that you support the motion to adopt this report, the financial report, just by a show of hand. Because just raise your hand, please. By a show of hand, because by a show of hand. You can't
Okay, I will count.
He's counting.
Please, all hands up if you are in support. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Please, your hands up so I can count. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I have 37 hands. 38, 39, 40.
41, 42, 43. We have 43 votes in support of the financial report. Anyone against this motion? Any hand against this motion? It's a unanimous consent. Thank you so much. We're moving forward. I'm make out. Because we are going to move to the next item. This is critical. The Select Committee on Houston, I will ask this body that will move that report forward. Max is working on that. We'll move it forward. We'll go right to the Exploratory Committee on the Kure Legacy Center. Because let me call the Honorable Chair of that committee, my predecessor, Mr. Eric Wedding. Please take the mic. Thank you.
Not running away, I'm going to the bathroom. And while I'm here, so I finish everywhere.
Mr. President.
Does he have his report for you? He doesn't have his report.
He said he has a PowerPoint.
So, I mean, they need to make it available in advance.
Eric against you.
If it doesn't work here. Okay. You were saying, you say I have something. No, I mean, you were supposed to have a slide.
Andiko, let me have your attention here. I don't know. The man was supposed to make report. My brother, DK Chenton, Charles Walker, on Mono, for Badia. Anyway, we thank, I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. President, the President, Mr. Patrick Ayawoke, and the Executive Committee for trusting and giving my team and me the chance to serve on this exploratory committee. I'm gratefully acknowledging the members of the committee, Eze Charles Walker, Mrs. Patience Igwe as my co-chairs, Mrs. Judith Wuche, the secretary, and Mrs. Peace Ogunleye, the assistant secretary. Members, Mr. D.K. Chendu, Mr. Godiade, Rosemary, Mrs. Rosemary Amadi, Ms. Nego Biwale, Mr. Iwanya Weche, Dr. Chiele Yenke, Mrs. Jele Masoji, Mr. Frank Odu, and Eze Chima Timothy. Thank you all for accepting to serve on the committee on such a short notice. Considering our limited time, I am particularly grateful to the teams led by Mr. Nego Biwale and Charles Walker, leading us to spring this whole thing into action. This thing was broken down into, the President has mandated this committee with a significant task to explore ways for OgbakorIkwerre USA Canada to own an event / community center in a viable United States or Canadian city. And he reiterated that as we strive to build a self-driven Ikwerre community in the United States and Canada, it is crucial that we lay the foundation for sustaining the operations of OIUSA and Canada and providing essential supportive services to Ikwerre communities in the USA and Canada. Now, the realization of the President's vision of OIUSA Canada owning an event/community center and the sustainability of OIUSA Canada as a non-profit organization are most critical goals for the exploratory committee. And it's just a privilege that we all share. So I thank all the members for being part of it. Well, the committee's charge was threefold. One was to explore locations and ways to establish a cultural/event center for OIUSA Canada. The second one was to define the benefits of such a center and its sustainability. And finally, to explore funding possibilities. And I use that word possibilities because it just means a lot. So the committee held its first meeting on December 22nd using the Zoom platform. During the introductory meeting, the committee chairman and myself discussed the committee's purpose, providing the attendees with something to consider during the holiday season. Members of the committee had many questions that needed clarification. Ultimately, we decided to invite the President to answer some of those pressing questions and shed some light on his vision for this project. And he did. During that follow-up meeting, the chairman, myself, provided opening remarks, reviewed the committee's charge, introduced the topic areas, and outlined the process and expectation for the committee's work. The President, Mr. Patrick Ayawoke, joined the meeting and answered all the committee's questions, committee members' questions, to simplify his vision, or to rather to amplify his vision. Now, the process required us to break everything down into 3 teams, basically. We have a location team led by our sister, Neka. The funding team led by Eze Charles Walker, and the sustainability team, that's a 1-person team, which will be expanded today, led by Mrs. Patience Igwe. The location team, we assigned Mrs. Rosemary Amali, Mrs. Judith Wuche, Mrs. Piso Kunleye, and my humble self and Mrs. Yelema Asoji. This team comprised of a few people who are into real estate. The hope was for us to get the real estate angle to it. The task given to the committee was 1, to have a meeting/banquet hall with a seating capacity of no less than 200 persons, with full kitchen/food storage space, office rooms for service providers, community rooms for adult daycare and recreational activities, cultural exhibition room, all necessities including ample parking space, other necessities including ample parking space. The targeted cities were Houston, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, New York, Los Angeles, California, and Washington, D.C. And the team established a price range of $500,000 to $2 million for the proposed property. And the most important criteria for selecting a location were functionality and sellability. And sellability to me was really extremely important, because you have to have a place where that would be desirable to people. A functional and sellable location hosting various events and activities would be desirable. Through the process of elimination, Houston, Texas was selected for further exploration when the General Assembly approves the project. The focus on Houston was due to low cost of real estate, absence of zoning constraints, existing community presence, and tax benefits compared to places like New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles. Mr. Neka Obiwale and her team shared some pictures of sample buildings in the Houston area that meet our criteria, ranging in price from $500 to $1.2 million. Among the properties, unfortunately, we don't have this is not going to be projected. Among the properties highlighted in Houston, Texas, were a church and an amusement park. That church could be transformed into something else, and it has ample parking. The amusement park, of course, has ample space. Those were samples, because once the project is approved, then the decision has to be made on what kind of, whether to buy land and build or what have you. The other aspect of this B is the funding strategies for the project. That included, chaired by Eze Charles Walker, you had Mr. Dike Chendu, Mr. Frank Odum, and Dr. Oge Meju as part of that team. Like I said here, the team led by Eze Charles Walker has proposed a funding strategy for building project through partnership. This strategy is inspired by what they call the Heritage House in Nigeria, where members invest in the property and the proceeds are used to develop a resource center. The proposed plan involves creating units for individuals or groups who are well determined, who are members of OgbakorIkwerre USA and Canada to purchase. The ownership percentage will be determined by their share of profits while floating sweat equity in the partnership agreement, which will be capped at 20% of the entire investment for USA Canada. The thing that I just stated there is really outside my boundaries of knowledge when it comes to finance. So I'm going to just be patient with me. Eze Charles Wapana and my brother Dike Jende here will expatiate on that a little bit. This 20% equity ensures that OIUSA Canada stays within the threshold of the laws governing 501c3 entities. Interested members will have 30 to 90 days to invest. And the estimated cost of building, including renovations, will be between $500,000 to $2 million. The plan will require commitment from members. The facility will be a separate entity from OIUSA Canada, but will be owned by OIUSA Canada. Again, that will be explained by my able team here, team members here. A professional real estate company will be hired to manage the facility. Again, like I said, they will explain the financing part. Then we'll go to the area. Item number C, building a sustainable legacy for Ikwerre communities under Mr. Patience Igwe. Now, to create a lasting legacy for the Ikwerre communities in North America, it is important to establish a physical structure that will serve as a source of pride and a reminder of OIUSA members' achievements. This will ensure the continuity of OIUSA Canada as older members, including my humble self, age, and as the organization's activities transition to the younger generation, who will then become the custodians of their parents' investments. The main focus is to actively involve our children and allow them to participate in the decision-making process for various projects. This will help alleviate their concerns and reduce their complaints. Additionally, bringing in new members born and raised in Ikwerre land is essential to sustain OIUSA as an entity here. One proposed strategy by SHS Wapana is to encourage Ikwerre University students in Nigeria to apply for scholarship and to pursue advanced degrees in the United States. This approach will contribute to the organization's continuous growth and sustainability. Again, that will be explained by the team. In conclusion, on behalf of the committee members, I want to thank the President, his executive committee, for allowing us to serve on this vital exploratory committee. Most importantly, I would like to thank the esteemed members of this committee for their participation in every meeting. The task was more complicated than it seemed. We were left with the pressing questions. How will OIUSA Canada sustain itself financially with rising costs? That has been addressed here. Those questions have come up here several times. Should we continue to rely on individual contributions? Our membership is decreasing due to age and high cost of conventions. Is it sustainable to keep raising annual dues and convention fees every year? I know we don't do that. How can we continue to carry out impactful projects in our Ikwerre communities without sufficient funding? But I will leave it at that before I go to the next thing, and would like to invite SHS Wapana to address the funding proposal, is it?
Funding proposal is a little more complex, but I do my best to explain it so that all of us at least will know what we call a rural understanding of what we are looking at. And I'm going to throw some numbers around, and if you have any question, if the numbers is confusing, stop me and let me know if it's confusing so I can at least try to re-explain it. The funding, what we are looking at, the dream we have, because right now it's going to be a dream. So the dream we have is this. Number one, if we project based on how Eric read, between $500 to $2 million, between $500,000 to $2 million, assuming about a building we are looking at. And I'm going to correct something from what Eric said earlier. I was reading, but I think I heard it from my ear. Okay, now, we're looking about a building that will be about 200 people, right?
Yeah, that was what I was getting.
And I looked at that sign right there, right behind the lady at the end there. It said 410. So if this is 410 and we're looking for 200, we haven't started yet. So your 200 would be wrong. So we're looking for a place that at least can take a minimum between 400 to 500 at least, which is bigger at least, but the size of this hall or bigger than this hall as far as the capacity of persons that will be in it. So in that essence, this is what we're looking at. 500 to 2 million in Houston may be the amount of money we need to do it. But again, according to the report I wrote earlier, we have what, $30-something thousand or less. That is a long way from 500,000 or even 2 million. So how do we do it? We make every one of you here an investors. Invest in this. How do we do that? So the first thing I'm able, we float a partnership. Why am I calling it a partnership? If it's more than one person, it's what? A partnership. So we float a partnership, and that partnership will be us, the members, and who? Ogbako. Us, the members, and Ogbako. And also, because we are 501c3, I know a whole lot of people will ask that question. Can we do that? The answer is yes. As long as what we are making out of it does not exceed 20% of our revenue. So what is our revenue? Assuming now Ogbako as a whole made $120,000. 20% of $120,000 is what?
22.
Yeah.
10%.
20% of $20,000.
So, meaning Ogbako will have to at least make from this investment $20,000 from it. And if they make $21,000, they will pay tax on $1,000. And they will have to file a different tax return called 990T instead of 990. So that is one part. The second aspect is that, okay, how do we raise this money? I'm going to use the names of individuals in here, and I'm going to use them as an example to explain. Take, for example, 500,000 actual flow through. I say, okay, each shareholder or investor or group of investors. Why I say group of investors? Because actual beginning amount will be 50,000. And patients will say, I don't have that kind of money, I'm not going to invest. So now, in that case, the rule patients out. So we don't want to rule patients out. So we can say 5 or 10 people can form what?
Group of investors.
Partnership together, or they can come together and make that amount that we needed minimum per unit. So if the minimum per unit is 20,000, and patient group can say, okay, we are 10 of us, we do 2,000 apiece, right? They have their 20,000. Then if Solomon and his whole family wants to invest 20,000, he can form another partnership and call it Solomon and Associates. And they put 20,000, then they have a unit. So in that case, we are putting everybody in their chance to invest. So overall, once we get everybody involved and we're able to raise $2 million, I'm using $2 million because that's a higher number. So we're able to raise $2 million. Now we can empower our real estate agent. Go find us that building. And they find the building, they might buy the building for $400,000. What does that mean? We have $1.6 million sitting in the bank that we didn't touch. So then we can now get an architect to look at the entire building. How can we do it to make it look good? And then let's assume that costs us another $700,000. So you add the 700 to the 400, right? Yeah. We have 1.1 million. We still have 900 sitting in the bank. And that 900, we can leave it as our what? Operating capital. So that, and then this is the banker is not going to be running a business. And we'll form a company or have a company run it privately. And what they will do is that they will book everybody that wants to be event in the place. They will pay the light bill. They will pay the phone bill. They will pay the employees that work there. And then in a year, if we make, let's say, 2 million, and the bill is 500,000, we made what? $1.5 million in profit. And that $1.5 million, we will now come back to a homework. What is that homework? We issue what is called K1. And that K1 will be, remember, patient had $25,000? Patient may have 1.2%. So patient will get from that 1.5 million, 1.something% of that 1.5, that's how much patient will get. Ogbako will get what? 20% of the same 1.5 million. Then, just like that, and that is how we raise that capital. Now, I'm going to pause so far at this point in case anybody has any question. You notice I'm not reading from anything, they're all in my head because I've done it before.
I do.
Yeah.
Ikwerre make out. Ikwerre make out. Hello, Ma. First of all, the idea that is being sold is excellent idea. It's a dream that has been born right from the session of this organization. But I'm puzzled with the report is being given, analysis you are giving. We don't have any copy, no paper with us. How do I go home today and start dreaming over what is being reported? It will fly over my head. I think we need to have a copy of report so some of us can start dreaming on how to follow on the idea. And the last resort talking about how to raise the fund through partnership, it should be the last resort. After we have sought financial help, financial thing to build a community center where we can't get anything, then that is when partnership begins to come in. So at this time, I would suggest we need a report, copies, so we can read. And also we need to agree whether it's that we will do or not. We don't want to stay here start analyzing figures. So we don't even know where it begins or not. Ikwerre Maker?
Reverend Yanke, you said you don't want to dream. This is a dream. So your dream just started. So this is the dream. So your dream just started. Look, the report, I think the chairman had a report, but again, it's a working report. So we are not sure because we want to explain it to you all, and then if it's okay, then we will move to that next level. Now, you will get a report, but right now we want you to dream on this, and then, and if the dream sound okay, then let us know. You know, but if the dream doesn't sound okay, then forget about the dream because it's not a reality. So,
but in the copy, it will happen, but in the copy.
We can give you a working page. So, Mr. Chairman, if you can make it available to them by email or by text message while we are doing this through WhatsApp, and then everybody can get it. All right. So, but anyway, somebody has a second question.
I have a question. Okay. Do you have to have all cash? Can you finance a portion of this?
That's a good question. Ogbako don't have credit, and to get cash, you have to have what? Credit. And then to get it from the bank, you have to have also what? Tax return, income with a good income. And where's Ogbako's good income? So that rules out the question. So that's why you do cash. Any other questions?
So what was the question?
Does
Can we finance part of it?
Can we finance technically? Can we finance part of it?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm surprised that the executive is going to answer questions. Because I'm not ready already.
I'm not asking, sorry, Dr. Uche Gonsinari.
Okay.
I'm not asking a question. I want to see if you can get, Shakespeare said to be or not to be, that is the question. So what I'm trying to say is this assembly saying that irrespective of what Ogbako is thinking, whether it's a dream or a mirage, whatever it is, I know that dreams come true. We can do it. But the first thing is, do we get an approval from this assembly that we need to move forward with this program? Yes.
All right, correct. Max, the mic is coming. Yeah, that's confusing. That's why I call MC.
I'm the cow. JK is not wrong to say it's a dream. But Hamiakuga here, you call this exploratory process or scheme. I would my question is two anyway. In your exploratory and maybe what we call locality exploration. In other words, in this I wanted to know first of all, how did you come up to zero down to one place? Secondly, is there any consultation with basic if they want to support the project? That's why I'm saying that. Because eventually I need a local help or support. Have you gone to that extent?
Yes, sir. To take your question number one, we did explore, I think Eric presented earlier, that NECA and Yelema and the Rosemary Amade. So those people live in Houston, and before that we did Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and Houston. And the committee went and sent people to all of those cities that live in those cities to look at it and come up with suggestions, including buildings. And they did all of that, and the committee finally agreed that the best thing for this organization would be Houston because of the population and also because of the cost. And then in New York, if we're going to look for a building that will take 400 people, we're probably going to spend $20 million. In California, probably going to be the worst. So again, Houston became our final destination. That is how we came up with Houston after doing all of that. Did I answer your question? Yes. And on Yankees dream, I would let's keep him dreaming, all right? All right. Anybody else has any other questions? Okay, right here.
Just a quick question, because I think...
Wait for the mic, please.
I am not a real estate agent or a broker, but in California, I've done businesses with them. I think that amount is way much bigger. We do have a facility that is more than the size you're talking about, and definitely not needing $5 million to $10 million. So we can look to find something better, larger, that will accommodate the size and the things, the amenities that we need to operate such facility.
Mr. Gordon, I don't know if you heard me, I said 500,000 to 2 million, not 5 million.
Well, the last thing you said is in California, it's even
yeah, I know, that's a figure of speech. I don't know if you know literature.
There's a hand here, sir.
Good morning, I'm Mikhail. How my brother put, I'm in support of it. I also want to add that no, here I go between 500,000 to 2 million. What is the revenue an America collect? Because are you gonna rough? Even if over 100,000, that year you not cover up, including your maintenance cost. If you can do all this analysis, we got the members, then we all, we all can, I believe many of us have homes. I'm going to add your forward. The way you are raising the capital, yes, in a sense, I can support that for now, but later on, we need to talk about that too. Okay? So I'll make out.
As I indicated earlier, right? Most of the Americans and make go back in then I waste their time. So the reason why we brought it up is that so you can give us some kind of tacit approval to proceed to that level in Uganda. So that now we begin to move to that level. And look, I'm not doing this by just speaking. I do have, look, personally, I do have an event hall. And I do make money. Even as I'm sitting here, I've gotten a whole lot of sale payment for people who are paying to use the hall. So I do know the revenue. And not only that, I'm helping the Nigerian organization in Louisiana. We just acquired a building doing exactly what we just said here. So that's something that hasn't been done. So, and one of the persons that I joined in the group to do that, I think it's going to be in our gala night tonight to speak to us. And this is one of the persons that I did this with. You know, so again, it's not something that is not doable. But again, almost Ogbakor a building and stop paying hotels like this, 25,000, 50,000, 80,000. Then let's get a building. And then we use our building. But I'm not going to walk on our building, but about where decide he won't let go. So let's use this. And that is what, if you give the president approval to proceed to the next level to begin to put all these numbers together, then all the people on your assignment, like my good friend here, Dickie and all of us, you know, we will now begin to make it. We need those numbers. This is the budget expected, projected income. This is projected expense. And this is what we are looking at profit. And we can present that. Obla 1 day thing, obla maybe 6 months thing, it might be a year. So again, that is, any other question?
Thank you very much for the
committee that have put this proposal together. I do understand that we have a lot of questions, but I think that one of the challenges we have is that we come to this meeting and we spend a lot of time going over and over and over and things. I think they've made this presentation. Where we are now is where, as the General Assembly, we decide whether we want to give them permission to proceed and really explore this option. So I am moving, I'm moving a motion for us to give them the permission to formally explore this option, so we can then decide if we want to go ahead and acquire a building or not. We have to go in stages, otherwise we'll come back next year and we'll still be having the same conversation. So I move a motion from the General Assembly. Go ahead.
Can I say something?
No.
There are about 3 or 4 stages to the presentation. Yes. So we're on the, what I call stage 3 right now. So there's 4 coming. And then in case they have a question, then we move a motion. But meanwhile, this is very complex, very complicated, very almost unheard of. So we want to give everybody an opportunity to ask a question, to understand what we're about to do or what we're trying to do, so that we can make sure that when we do it, it wouldn't be like a dream for Yankee.
Brother Charles.
Yeah.
Let me remind you. You could have make out from the first day of formation of OgbakorIkwerre. The first thing we thought was to have a Ikwerre Center in United States. Right from the first day. I don't know any of them who remembers. What day again? Thank you. We said we want to have Ikwerre Center in America. But something happened that said, the first of all, we're going to have one in Nigeria. So the interim officers that came in didn't buy the idea. But I'm glad that he came again. Right now, my church is looking for a place, and one of the committees looking for a place to buy a church. Okay, so my point is this, I repeat, I wish you can give us a report, physical papers, just like we have agent who is taking us around, showing us places. Then we start selecting which is which. I know you guys, we selected Houston because I know we're talking about Houston is the center because of it. So when we focus on Houston, you're talking about funding. If we have agreed we're going to focus on Houston, before we proceed on individual partnership, let's find a way, either send the committee to over there, the center of choosing. We can launch the place, launch it. When we launch it, we may realize even the $2 million we're talking about. We may be losing $5 million, you never know. Because the dream has been born years ago. Instead of before we started forming it, but let's have some reports so that we can share it with other partners around. You couldn't make a...
Yeah, the report is in your email right now.
Yes,
it is. It is sent it to I do make out.
But sometimes, it takes few people to dream a dream that will affect everybody. But initially, people may think, oh no, that's nothing, let's forget it, it's too much. But when it's realized, then they say, oh, we made a mistake, we should have bought into that. What I'm saying is this, it's a very good idea. An event center is very good. Now, are we also going to have our convention there every year, or is for monetary venture, for financial purpose? That's what I want to know. What is the purpose of that center?
Monetary venture for financial purpose.
If it's that, I buy it.
Even though USA will pay for it.
I will want to get to the next one. Ben, you have a question, so I'm cheap there. Give Chief Ben mic and then the patient can come on.
Two or 3 years ago, think the previous administration, when we were building, an architect draw how OgbakorIkwerre USA to Nigeria. I don't know if we are allocated land or not, but it was almost done after they brought those buildings, the picture, the drawing. We agreed on it. Are we abandoning that proposal in Nigeria, or are we facing the one in USA?
Chief Ben, the proposal is work out for the acquisition skill. Skill acquisition, which is a whole complete different thing from this. And that part, the land, we haven't even got the land yet. You know, the land issue is a mystery. So we're still looking to get some, where is even the land, and we have the land. So that is the skill acquisition.
Okay, to follow that up, you will be the acquisition, location, or building. You can also have a hall within that property.
But that is in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, that's true.
But this one I work out with the United States. In the United States, not in the United States, not in Nigeria.
There's a question, yes, sir.
Yes, we can go everywhere.
All right, there's a question.
Okay, so who you are with?
Okay, hi, good morning, or good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening. So are you saying that, I understand it's gonna be a community center or a hall, so are you saying that every year that we come to convention, it's gonna be in that one location, like if we design this?
No, I answered the question to Reverend. I said it's an investment. It's not necessarily going to be in the same city every year. We still relocate that where we can find a host city for that year. We have a permanent building, so we don't have to beg anybody to host us.
I understand.
Good. Any other question before question? Okay, look, we'll allow.
Freelance, and then you can proceed.
Three more questions and we get patience.
Because I know who we are, so when you know work, I want him to know. You see, I know this hall, our event center as a worker. I know I did my avoid or spend the way I spend the higher hall everywhere, which is a key point. Very key point. On what jobs I need me. No, Ogbako has no host to their convention to a particular place every year. What jobs I need me? Come my question. Second one, book. No booking. Okanguya Makwa. Can we yaka? I pay why elevator we rent the hall or the event center. I am about to use my account. Then Ogudi's event center. Doesn't I in fact then my brother Garoku say during the launch and I'm going to give cover the I didn't remember the UI. But the utility of that hall is very, very necessary. Apart from Ogbako, even though the hall or Mobuna Yima, or the place that is very attractive to others, that to be considered as a location. So, was that him? Was that Okano Nabo, no John Job? Akupi Alama, and because Namakasa is seeking Mamo, Kalmameka.
You want to make out? You want to make out? Jerry, my brother put them most of them. Hold on. I want to know why you are spending. to stay here. Most of you don't know. A YPM, capital Arab Bossa, get an event center used in the down block. And become, sorry. And become, I'm supporting this effort because I said why.
Yes.
This is the last one. The last one, sir.
Every year I get the ideas of where I am really to have an event center is a good idea, fantastic. But I want to know, I think somebody asked that question, I didn't know the response to receive. I think it's Chief Amadi. In Atlanta, we were told is the skill acquisition center. We have land have been given. All of that story, whether it is true or not, I don't know. And now this other one is coming. So are we going to make this a priority and that one a secondary one, or that will be a priority and this one a secondary one? The second thing I want to say that is important is that as an organization, we're asking us to make approval. It's good, like somebody said, to have documentation so we can recall what we have heard and been told, because oral information can mean different things to different people on how they remember it. So for us to embark on something like this, there's need for us to have written documentation. We'll send it in email or WhatsApp. Remember the deficiencies that come with WhatsApp and email. But those who can use it as well. So those are my points I want to raise.
Honorable, did you check your WhatsApp in?
I don't have
WhatsApp. Why is it so you want to forward it by email? So you get it in email, but most of the people have it right now. So if we exhausted the questions, I'm going to have patients come back on the other part, how to sustain this, because that is important. You know, so.
Okay, good evening all, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, patience, Igor, please. I will be brief because almost every important aspect of this exploratory team or committee has been presented. So, what I was asked to do is to look at how this can be sustained. And we know that every project that we do, or even as human beings, the only way we sustain ourselves as human beings is by having children, right? That way we have the next generation sustained to carry on. So the same way, our OgbakorIkwerre is this particular convention, how many people are attended over the years, is attendance increasing or decreasing? Well, most of us are aging, most of us are in our 50s and 60s, there is no doubt about that, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's a natural progression.
Yes, sir.
But the point becomes, after a point, some of us may not be able to attend these meetings that we do, that we attend. So it becomes important, we have said this over and over and over, that we bring our young children. Today we are supposed to have a panel discussion with our youth contributing to how they want to help sustain this organization. But as usual, we start late, we rush. That panel discussion will not hold. And the reason it's not hold because of time, but whatever we have said today is all been discussed. Everybody's input will be needed by the time we ask for people to vote to support this program or not. So on the issue of sustainability, we are looking at two resources, human beings and money. And I think Eze has already talked about the money part, and all he presented was, those are suggestions. By the time this team or this project is voted into action to say, yes, easy, go ahead, or House say, yes, we can, then we begin to come up with details of all the things you guys have pointed out, and then present another detailed result. This is exploration to know, do we want it or not? So some of the information we provided, we the committee members know where we are going to, but we don't want to go too far if we don't have the approval to go on. So at a later time, a detailed result will be presented, and I will prepare and suggest the report will be given to members ahead of time, because I am somebody who doesn't like to get report on the spot, because I don't have time to digest the information. So report will be presented. So on sustainability, what are we doing to bring our children? It's always a very important issue. OgbakorIkwerre will not continue if we don't have members, whether adults or young adults. So what are we doing as parents to bring our children, or as this organization, what can we do, everything we can exhaust to bring our young ones on board? Some of them that we are part of this committee have expressed that when they come to the meeting, it's too rowdy, it's too noisy. We speak Ihurana because they don't understand Ihurana, which we are trying to maybe directly or indirectly force them to learn, but it's not working. So those are points they have expressed, and I know personally I've told them in the committee, say, if you don't present yourself, if you don't make yourself available, this is a two-way traffic, how can you learn? If you want to learn something, you present yourself. Even though we may not be perfect in providing the environment for you, but can you just make the effort to say, let me go listen to what these people are saying and see if I can understand what they are saying. We've been talking, we've been encouraging, but some of them still come to this convention, they don't want to come in. So I'm pleading with parents, because I know we all have children, I know what the hard time I have with my own children, trying to convince them to do things, young adults as they are, employees who are given responsibilities, is a daily chore. I am pleading that if we want this OgbakorIkwerre to grow, even with all these projects we are running, if we don't have our children behind us or alongside us, it's not going to work. Because we may not be able to attend all these meetings, then who is going to run it? So another one is money. Eze has come up with different ways we can fund. And what he has said is not exhausting list. Those are suggestions. By the time we get the approval that this project is worth doing, then every other input here that you guys have suggested, we'll put them all into place, and then we will approve. This is how we're going to fund it. This is not how we are going to fund it. So it's a simple assignment on my part, but my part is just to conclude what everybody has said. Two things we need to go on: people and money. If we can bring our children, or even us as adults, some of us here, for 2-3 years I haven't seen them in convention. So how are we going to move forward if we are not coming to convention to bring ideas? EC is there. EC doesn't have all the ideas to run this organization. It's us. So that's just my presentation. Bring and encourage your children to come. Let them come and learn. We had an example of assistant secretary who had not shown up for a year. That doesn't tell well either on her part or on our part. A whole year, you ran for a position. We voted you in. You didn't show up. Who is to blame? Us or the child? It's everybody's input. So we have to do everything we need to encourage our children to come, and we, the adults, also have to come. That's the end of my presentation. So Chair and President, I think we can ask for vote to support or not to support. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to open up the question.
Not a question, because I'm a member of the committee. I'm trying to augment a little bit. And make Iran I'm part of the committee, actually. Just to augment a little bit of what they are saying. When this proposal is being presented to the floor by the president, please let's not limit it to event center only. Let's talk about community center like other communities are doing. And from what our sister Patience said, to get our children involved, they have to be a community center where they can come after school or anything to learn those language, our Ikwerre language that we are trying to encourage them to learn, and Ikwerre things. And then that will give them a way forward to be able to sustain this organization. So, President, I want you to expand it to a community center, not only event center. I know we're trying to make money, but let's add also a community center to it. Make up.
Mr. Ryan, we were gonna make it a community center and a resource center where it will have a historical aspect of Ikwerre.
Yes.
In it. When you walk inside the building, the first thing you see is history of Ikwerre.
Exactly. But
And
these people are
behind them you
understanding.
have the hall. So all of that will be there. Just let's get started first. Let's get started.
But what you are presenting, they're only talking about event center.
That
So
is,
they are
that is where the primary income will be derived. But you still have a community center in the name of
So let's discuss it as a community center, but it's stage by stage, so that presenting to all of us.
We use your terminology as a member now, community center. So, community center.
Robo when I'm Kalama Mekao. Ramam Buchizi. I just little suggestion. Have I